Yeah, welcome back to the Dynasty Grind. My name is Peter Howard at PA Howdy on Twitter. Once again, I'm bereft. I was just waiting for Zach to finish his sentence, and he didn't. He insisted we went live because he wants to be on Facebook for some reason. And now it's literally all I can think about. What is he going to say? I don't know. Yeah, this is Dynasty Grind. We talk about Dynasty stuff for about 3 hours every Wednesday from 9:30 till we all get tired and go to bed. Off season, on season, point season, non-point season. So welcome in. Drop a comment in the whatever comment box on whatever streaming platform you're listening to. We're happy to talk about it. We tend to talk about them in order, although it's getting to the size where you might have to pick and choose, which is awesome, but also sad. So if you're dropping a comment and we don't talk about it for an hour, it's not because we're not going to. It's because we haven't got to it yet most of the time. But feel free to remind us or check back later, watch the VOD, check out the YouTube video if you don't want to wait around and hear the rest of the stuff, just so you all know how it works around here. Happy Thanksgiving week. Hope you're having a great time and looking forward to the games. And that's it. That's about all I've got. Let's go find out what Zach was gonna say. I need to know. You're going to say you forgot, aren't you?
Yeah, I've lost it, Pete. What were we talking about?
You were asking if that guy DM'd me because he was in a rebuild and he started asking you questions, which is weird because we've talked before and he didn't just come to me first, and now my feelings are kind of hurt.
Well, I mean, whatever. I'm sorry. I sent him to you because you're my, like, I don't do very many orphans because I am not as skilled at trading as you are, Russ. And so what I tend to do is, if I have something like that, if I have a rebuild that is not my own rebuild, I start talking to you. And so that's what I did. I refer people to you and Peter because you guys are my sounding boards.
I've started to feel lazy with that, by the way. Like, so many questions I get or see on Twitter, I'm like, I know Zach and Russ probably have thoughts.
I don't a lot of that lately. I absolutely don't.
I mean, like, I don't.
I don't mind that though, because again, it's not just like I feel like people think sometimes that you like contrive things for a show, but part of the reason why I am on this show, because again, not DLF, just kind of guy on the couch for the Dynasty Grind. I really enjoy talking to both of you, but I also get a lot out of the way each of you approaches the game. And so to me, this is not contrived. This is not like, hey, we're going to do a show, and so like, let's throw the three of us together. This is, you are, even if we weren't doing a show, my sounding boards for Dynasty Fantasy Football. Two of about 5 people that I really will sound. I try to keep my circle tight, and so that's it. Like that's what I was saying, Peter. Is I was asking Russ if he got the referral because I had kind of exhausted my powder with my trade ideas. So.
All right. No, I think about it a lot, and my approach to Dynasty is kind of to find areas I can block off and say I'm better off not doing that. That's kind of what I used to just call narratives. Like, I don't know what's going on in a coach's head. Some people are really good at reading the NFL and what a team's going to do and what a team's not going to do, and when a player doing well in a stat means something. Or like we said about Christian Watson, I can look at his stats and say something looks weird, and you're like, oh, it's because he does this. Yeah. And it's not like therefore film is better. It's just it's okay to know it this. And so for the last 3 years, what I've been doing is trying to figure out what can tell me what, and how much of that can I apply actively. I was in a conversation today, and they were talking about target share versus touchdowns, which was fun. And they were saying target share is just better than those other stats. And I was like, yeah, but let's not get too myopic about it, because if you compare Jalen Waddle and Jamar Chase, like across the statistics you're talking about, you want Waddle. And don't get me wrong, I want Waddle, but you don't want him more than Chase, because there are other things you can accept those stats can't show you that you just know. I mean, it's okay just to know them. And the reason I'm talking around in a circle here is because there are certain things I just have not found a way through. So it's okay just to not try to be everything, but have a process for everything. So quarterback evaluation, it's not like I've stopped trying, but I've just defaulted to the best thing I can do is go ask Travis, what's this rookie quarterback like? Yeah. I mean, rate him on a scale I can understand. Russ, what am I missing in this trade? Zach, what's going on with Christian Watson, or what's going on with Najee Harris? Is it the O-line, or does he struggle? Mm-hmm. And it's just, it's been so much more fun just knowing where I have to go and find stuff and what things I have can actually tell me. And
I go back to this, and this is actually valuable to, I know we've kind of taken the long way around to get to the chat, but this is valuable to the people watching the show, is hopefully the smartest people I know, and you've heard me say this again and again and again, but the smartest people I know are the people who know when they don't know something or when they struggle with something.
And with me, it's quite often.
And then they go ask the person who does. Because if you can figure out who complements your flaws and use them to kind of lift you up, then your flaws are no longer your flaws. You've borrowed brilliance from somebody else, to borrow a phrase from Kevin FF Engineer. Like, that's Kevin O'Brien. So
I got to my master's program before I ever really picked up a book on Plato or tried to read it, let alone study it. And it was like 2 weeks in, I was like, this guy just walks around saying he doesn't know stuff and asks questions, and he's meant to be the genius of the air. Like, I can do that. Like, just think, like, if you only ever ask questions, you can only ever be smart. That's part of it.
I almost got, like, yelled at in college. I took intro to philosophy, and I said it in a very dickish manner. But it really, like, in the very beginning, it really was just more along the lines of asking questions people didn't think to ask before, because now
surprising how much of innovation comes
so many things have been researched. But back then, walking around and literally just asking questions that no one would have even believed or thought to ask. Yeah, that's contemplate was a big deal. And even to pull it back to fantasy football, anytime Zach talks about J-Mike, that's what he'll say. One of his favorite things about J-Mike is he will ask questions you never really thought you needed to ask.
Honestly, and that's one of the things I actively do.
Amazing, and that's what he does. Cool. But like, it's
the questions you don't think to ask.
It's timing and settings, and it's same things. Like, I get it. I will always be self-deprecating and say there's nothing special about me, and I know Zach and Peter are going to give me shit about it. But like, I have the following I have because when I came into the Dynasty round in Twitter, when I came onto Twitter, the only people that retweeted Twitter polls, trade polls, were MFL and at Dynasty Trades and the Dynasty Trade Calculator. And no one answered them. Like, people clicked their choice, but no one really, I was just like, okay. So I literally typed a response to every single poll. And again, whether I gave good advice or not, sometimes I like to think I do. It was just the fact that I was there first. I was the first person around that really started doing that. So now that there's like so many people that do that, it doesn't seem as special anymore. It's just like, okay, yeah, cool. I know this guy's going to answer my poll.
Well, the minute you go through a door, someone else, there's like 5 people behind you. Like, I'm going to go through this. You go check out a window or something. There are other entries here. But no, I think it's that I'm a dick. That's how I relate to it, because one of my first assumptions is I don't believe you to pretty much everything. And so I found a lot of those questions. Like, you tell me something, I'm like, I'm gonna try and take the opposite point of view. I used to relate it to when I first started studying math outside of high school level. One of the methods of learning they taught us was to assume something's true and try to keep going until it proves itself wrong, or do the opposite. It's actually a method of inquiry that we had to do for a paper. And I was like, I'm just going to do that. That makes sense to me. And so I assume everything is either true or untrue and go take it to the extreme. And it's like, it's my vacated targets thing. It makes so much obvious sense. So I was just like, well, I'm going to not believe it. And then you go and look and you find it doesn't work. It doesn't work for any practical purpose. And so, yeah, like it's not J-Mike, but it's literally we really should probably talk to the chat a little bit. It's Thanksgiving.
Hey, guys.
I figure they're all enjoying their families. You know, I haven't seen my family's faces in a few years, but I imagine other people do.
Oh, I said later, bitches, and came downstairs.
Yeah. Enjoy that.
Well, to be fair, they just started watching Addams Family Values, and I was sad to walk away.
Oh, yeah, that sucks. Randy in the chat at 818. Thanks very much, Randy. 14-team Superflex PPR. He sent Devontae, Cousins, Zach Wilson, and an early first, paying to get rid of him at this point. An early second,
wow.
24 first, 25. What are you getting on the other end of this? I'm getting nervous here, Randy. For Justin Herbert.
That is a lot.
That's a lot.
I mean, you just Cousins out of this, Wilson out of this. That doesn't matter.
No,
and it's still a lot.
So Cousins, Devonta, and 24 first. Does that get you, Herbert?
I mean, like,
yeah.
I think you probably overpaid by. Well, yeah. I guess Cousins, Devonta. Yeah, I would have tried to keep Devonta, sent Cousins the 23 second, 24 first, and then if I had to throw in the 25, whatever. But
see, this is a trap. You fell into a very common trap. Like, you ended this by saying, and you still have 2 early firsts. That doesn't
matter.
Stuff around.
Yeah,
like, you could have held on to that 23 first. Like, imagine if you just sent a 24 and 25. Who would have cared? Like, 25 is so far away. I mean, at this point, Zach Wilson is worth nothing. Like, he's worth a second at best.
He's worth something as a human, and probably to the people he knows. But in Dynasty, it's just not.
Seems pretty douchey.
Well, so do I, and actually, I am. So that's fair.
I mean, in reality, you got what you wanted. As long as you're happy, that's all that matters.
Yeah, I've been advocating for this. Like, he says he's now got Herbert and Hurts. I'm like, stack 2 great quarterbacks. It's underrated.
No, it was.
But I literally just went the other way, and I've got Mahomes and Lamar, and I just traded away Lamar because I was just sitting there bored. I wanted to go make a cut move because I said that's a good idea on a video, and that's the value I had. But yeah, I mean, your team's fine, but what you have shouldn't affect what you send.
Well, and the way I would approach this too is you've got Cousins as your QB2 already, who is a top 12 quarterback right now. Like, yes, it's nice to go get Herbert, but you're also quasi hamstringing yourself for the next few years to go get a little bit of a bump in quarterback.
And this is Herbert. This is a guy that's meant to be discounted. This could get you Allen. This could get you Mahomes.
What if that gets
wanted to?
What if you just traded
those guys?
What if you just traded the pick that's CJ Stroud, or whoever else the quarterback's coming in? Because so I think, Peter, we keep going back and forth with this conversation about this class, and it's not that the 23 class has like 15 running backs. That's not what happens. It's not whatever happens, but it's the fact that there are 3 or 4 quarterbacks, there are 3 or 4 running backs, there are 3 or 4 wide receivers that are all really good. And so all of a sudden, if you have, let's just say you have 3 people at each position, now you're down to the 109 before you're even like, oh, well, maybe I'll go take this guy, as opposed to last year where we got to 102 and we were like, oh, well, maybe we'll take this guy. So that's the thing, I think, and it doesn't change. Like, people keep saying,
Treylon Burks is good again. Hey,
he is, and the 22 class has been better than I thought they were going to. Like, you knew people were going to hit, you didn't know who. But the thing with the 23 class is everyone is running out to go get like second round picks like their first round picks. They're not. They're still second round picks. It's just the first round is really solid.
Yeah, and
I mean, I think you know what we're saying, Randy, and I don't want to get too far behind yet.
We're
I mean, you're fine. No one's going to say you've done bad to get Herbert. It's just, I think you could have done so much more and built your team a little bit more. But it's. I mean, you got Herbert. It's cool. I will say it's funny. The immediate next thought is, I wonder if we can go get picks back. I think that was a problem, dude. This might be a different league though. Thinking about sending Pitts, Bateman, Tony, and Wandell for the 104, the 202, and 24 first. I would say no.
I would not do that.
Pitts should get you that at least, even then.
But how sad is it for Wandell? Like,
I know, just
yard game in 2 quarters, and it sucks.
That does suck, but it's nice to see him translate to the NFL a little bit. If people forget that game happened, it will be adding Wandell. Let's hope.
Oh yeah, I have a feeling I'm going to be getting a lot of Wandell this season.
Yo, Gavin. Mark. Dynasty 10-team PPR. Receive Garrett Wilson and a mid-23 first. Trade away Lamb and a late third. I mean
that's pretty even. I'd rather have Lamb, but it's pretty even.
I was going to say, I like Lamb, but asking around, as it were, I think Lamb's a little inflated right now, and Wilson's a rookie and younger. Yep. And so I think that evens it out for me. Yeah. Yep. Probably take the first.
And if you're a builder, if you're not a contender, like that's fine. I mean, you buy back a couple of years, you get a first in a good class. Like that's a good move.
What I would do is... What I would say, not do. You can do what you want. What are you trying to do here? Are you trying to get a first? In which case, sure, you've accomplished it and you haven't lost any value. That's great. But those are almost never my goals. If you just want CD Lamb, then don't start with Garrett Wilson. Unless that's all you've got. Like, you're doing a same position trade then. And you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what the goal of the trade is. If it's just you want more firsts, I think this is fine. But, yeah, that's the way I'd look
if this is, but also like if you are trying to get out of a player on the Jets, that's a great
yeah, exactly. It's about the goal of the trade because the value is even. Fish Whisperer. Yes, I like that. Should I be hanging on to Jalen Talbot? I mean, I am, because what are you going to do except for drop him?
I mean, if it's a dynasty,
you just go. Rookies develop at a different pace. Damn it. But honestly, if he ever does good, I'll probably be in there. I probably should sell by then. Because I would have expected him. I mean, we've still got a few weeks left here, but I would expect rookies to do something in the rookie year without at least an obscene incident like an injury or something of that nature. And Talbot just hasn't been able to make his way on the field. But you're holding. Caleb, sup guys? Not much, Caleb. Just here chatting to you. And enjoying it. Gavin Grant, again, 12-team start, 9 PPR, 1 QB, contending. Nice. Trade Saquon and a 23 third for ETN and Jamal Williams. I think that's solid. I think ETN's going to be valued pretty closely to Saquon this offseason, and you're adding running back points. Saquon. Yeah, I know, but it is what it is. If you can start Jamal Williams, I think this adds and helps you build, and your value is good. He owns Swift, and the trade is with my biggest competitor. Oh, wow. I don't know. I want them. I don't know why I want to get beaten by Saquon. That's different.
You make the trade you want to make. You don't really care who you're doing it with. Like if you want to make that trade, you don't care about the other team.
He has Tyreek and JJ.
That is a wonderful combination. I mean, owning Swift and Williams, honestly, that means absolutely nothing to me.
Right.
Yeah. He's giving you age and elevating. I mean, what's Travis? Actually, Travis Etienne's disappointed recently, hasn't he?
They had a bye week this past week.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what
0 yards last week.
Yeah, 0.
Yeah,
you had as many yards as Travis Etienne did last week.
Forget me. No, and Jamal Williams.
Well, the week before he only put up like 8-10 points or something like that. So comparatively, yeah, but
If you can start Jamal Williams, then it makes sense. If not, then there's no reason to do it. Gavin, CMC and Jacobs. Yeah, we got it. Benjamin, Lance, DJ Moore, plus how many firsts to get to Lamar?
Honestly, I think I get Lance Moore in a first seems like too much for Lamar to me.
That's what I was going to say. I don't think it really has a decent first.
Like
plus.
maybe take out DJ Moore.
It does. If you want Mahomes, he is
a
different value proposition.
Does that like Lance in the first for Lamar feels better? Lance Moore in the first plus a little bit.
If I have Lamar, I'm not doing that. And I know that we've had the Lance conversation.
Yeah.
If Lance, and there's a lot of risk with Lance. If Lance becomes what we hope Lance is, he becomes Lamar.
I think he becomes better than Lamar.
No, go back and look when like Lamar has broken fantasy football and then became a passer. Lamar is really good. I don't think
the Ravens put him in the right situation to be that.
I don't think Lance has the capability as a passer to be that. And so again, like
Lamar is Lance's upside.
That's what I'm saying.
I think the chances of getting there is hard. What I would say is this is undervaluing DJ Moore as well. Like now's not a good time to trade Lance. It's not a good time to trade DJ Moore. Like I think you wait on either. But if you're just asking a straight up value question, I think Lance and DJ Moore is. I don't think I'd do it, but I think that's a fair offer for Lamar, and I think you need to add a first to get to Mahomes.
I would absolutely throw Lance Moore in a first and a second and a third, like everything below. Like I don't care what they are, as long as there's one first and every other pick you have that isn't another first to try for Mahomes. It's worth a shot.
And again, I'm just going to underline this, Benjamin. Like, don't do it now. You've got no pressure on you when you're rostering Lance in terms of trade. And the minute the draft comes around and goes, and then we start thinking about the season, it's going to be back. Hey, remember when Lance had put up 20 points per game down the stretch of his rookie season, and they traded it up for him, and the Shanahan offense works extraordinarily efficiently, even with Jimmy G, which probably has something to do with Jimmy G, but no one wants to say that. He never will come back.
Bad, like
he's only bad.
No,
he's
that's
bad
the thing.
On,
that's the thing. He's fine.
He's bad on like 2 plays a game, but those are the big plays.
Yeah,
but like in terms of fantasy, he's like he's great.
He can't win you a game. That is absolutely the truth. But he'll never lose you a game.
Yeah, I mean he throws interesting interceptions. Speaking as a Pats fan who watched him come up and then go to San Francisco, like. You're sitting there going, yeah. Oh, Jimmy, what are you doing?
I tell you what, Zach Wilson has me thinking about, because we're out like officially on Zach Wilson this offseason. I got one right, you know. But Geno Smith has me in the same headspace I get with undrafted free agents. How many players could develop? I know everyone talks development, and we point out it's not a development league. Practically, it doesn't matter. But as a fan, I'm like. I mean, there's talent there. And if you build a system and if you do have the time, I still wonder, not just about undrafted free agents anymore, but how many Geno Smiths are there out there? Just cut unduly, washed out unduly. Elijah Moore is at risk of that right now, even though I'm actively trading for him. And it's not, but you got to recognize the practicality of it is a danger, but the reasons they give are so water thin. Ability versus potential to develop or potential to, grow, I guess, is very different. Like they might have the ability, but there's a very practical ceiling on it in the NFL because it's not a developmental league. But and that's what I've been thinking about a lot this week. It's like I still don't think Zach Wilson's shown us anything, but that's because he doesn't compare to past prospects well who have gone on to do it. And a lot of that is the NFL will write off they'll write off players when they hit certain marks. That's it.
Well, and I think it doesn't get talked about enough. Like the difference between making it in the league and not making it in the league often comes down to whether or not you got the right opportunity at the right time in the right place. And so like that's the difficulty with evaluating, especially from our perspective, because we're outside of the organization. At least the organization has a little insight as to what the organization plans to do with these guys?
No, it's all that. Yeah, it's all that stuff where I'm immaturity and the right attitude. I'm like, we know on a human fundamental level that is bullshit. Like, players can be immature, but if you're immature and Tom Brady, you're fucking fine. But if you're immature, quote unquote, and Elijah Moore, and you're replaceable, and you're just a wide receiver, you're shit out of luck. You know what I mean? I mean, it can be. I'm trading for Elijah Moore, so I hope not. But I mean, there's a human reality we know exists, but we tend to pretend. We try to pretend if you do things that's the media, frankly, describe as immature, whereas if they use different adjectives, we'd be like, yeah, fuck yeah. But because they use the word immature, we think it's a problem, and that will stop them. That's not what stops them. It's because there's an institution around them that just squishes you, not necessarily because that attitude correlates to not being able to develop. You know what I mean? Like, there's a different.
Like, if you were talking Wilson, like, to me, you could see this coming 3 weeks ago when people were calling Elijah Moore immature, and it was not Elijah Moore.
Yeah.
It was Elijah Moore going, this guy can't throw me the ball.
Yeah. And
Wilson
exactly.
going, Wilson going, it's not my fault. You know, it's like, okay, cool.
Well, to be fair, we all saw it in the Oscars, so we're geniuses, obviously. We never get anything wrong. But
Jeanys. Genius.
Devin's got a better question. 12-team Superflex start 9, half-point PPR, failed
contender, aren't we all?
Failed contender.
You have to be a contender to get failed contender.
Hey, man, failing just means you were allowed in the show, okay? Give Diggs and Dalvin, get Marcus Brown. I've been trying to trade for Marcus Brown. I just haven't been able to get it done. 23 1.06, not his pick, and a 24 first. I think, yes.
Take Dalvin out of it, and then sure. Like,
yes. I want more than that for those two.
Especially if you're trading it to a contender. That's why trade partner is so relevant.
Like, I know you're not going to get what you deserve for Dalvin anymore. It's just the reality of it. But Diggs is tied to the Bills for a couple of years. Diggs is not slowing down anytime soon. He is way too good of a route runner. And, well, like Marquise Brown, who we like, is worth a late first.
So, speaking of psychology and age, just before Zach makes a better point, I do want to point out, like, one of the smartest guys I know, like, moderates our rank. One of the smartest Dynasty guys I know is, like, in the ranks chat in the DLS Slack, and he tells us to update things. Incredibly dedicated, considering we're like cats. It's trying to herd cats, basically. It's impossible. But he was talking about Cooper Kupp and maybe adjust him down because of his age. And it struck me that when I said Devontae Adams was overranked this offseason because of his age and his value would come down, like, he stayed there in ADP and no one ever made a note like that in the DLS Slack. He's 200 and something days older than him. It's because the year hasn't ticked over. That's why we think of him as age.
Yeah.
Isn't that wild? Like Cooper Kupp is in the exact same place Devontae Adams was this offseason, and everyone was like, well, yeah, he's going to be Devontae Adams. But because he's 200 days younger, it doesn't take over, and so everyone looks at Cooper Kupp and thinks, oh, that's different. If you know what I mean? Isn't that weird?
Yeah,
anyway, sorry. Zach,
no, because it's absolutely, you're right. It's the difference between the 112 and the 201. They are one pick apart, but value-wise, there's a difference between those two.
Yeah, wow. Sorry, Zach. You were going to say something, and I probably made you forget that too, didn't I?
No, I was going to say, if it were me, Devin, I would split those two up. I would make a trade. I would make an offer to this guy and say, okay, I'll give you Dalvin for the 106. and make that trade, and then turn around and go to whoever is the other guy contending with this guy and say, okay, I just gave him Dalvin. Here's Diggs. Now I want, 2 firsts, or I want, this young player in a first, or whatever it is you're going to do. Like, that's what I would do. Is I would not trade both of them if I could help it in one trade, unless I'm getting, more than value. Because at this point, you have a little bit of a hammer.
Smart.
Like, you have a little bit of a hammer because there are only so many more weeks that they can score points. And
that's points is only now.
Yeah.
And it's such good grease for trades. Because everything we've been talking about, I've been making content on the ideas that come from it as well. And like I've completely switched up my trade routine. I like decide where my team is, and then I go to the standings tab, which is like Russ earlier you said you don't look at the standings. That's how my trade begins. And if I'm not a contender, I open up the first 6 teams and just see what I can give them in points, and I send those trade offers. And if I'm at the top, if I'm trying to compete, I just go to the bottom 6 teams. And like I've been doing so much better. I'm not saying my trades have been great. I'm winning. But I feel like I'm sending balanced offers. Both of us benefit. And I've executed so many more trades over the last few weeks talking about that with you guys.
Thinking about those
night and day.
Thinking about the multiple phases of value. Because value is not value is not value. When we've talked about this, like there are 3 different phases of value right now. The points phase of value is like that's where you can, if you're not a contender, that's where you can make your.
It actually helped me out because I was talking about Cooper Kupp last week, and it's if you're not contending, Coop's a good target. But if you are, obviously he's terrible. And most teams that have him, you pointed out, are competitive. And so that puts them in a really weird, shitty situation, which means that the non-contending teams have this window to maybe get one over on them. Not get one over, but to get him at a reasonable discount. Because no one else wants to trade for him. You're not winning, and they need points.
Don't sugarcoat that. You're trying to get one over on them. Like that's what you're doing.
Trying to give them something valuable, 2 points. But what it actually led me towards is I'm on plane where I'm competitive. I can't get trades done, so I decided to go uncompetitive. But no one wanted Kupp still, and I don't really want to hold him. But I want to trade. I want to improve my value. And so what I ended up doing is trading for lower value players who are in the same value right now because they're scoring points, and then turning around to those competitive teams. I was thinking of it switching my trade pool. Like I can't get value right now. I'll trade for points specifically to go sell those to the competitive teams, if you know what I mean. And there are some players right now. Najee Harris is a guy I just did it with in 2 different leagues. Like if you can trade for Najee, and this was last week, so it was a lot easier actually. You can trade for Najee Harris because he's young and a running back, so he's got some points per game, and there isn't the Jeff Wilson vibes of he'll be nothing in August. And competitive teams are a little bit more interested in trading for him than a Jeff Wilson, frankly, at value. And they're on losing teams, is what I mean. The Najee Harrises of the world are on losing teams, so you can actually just like I've never tried that before, and it worked both times. I was like, that's pretty cool. Sorry, I've had a really interesting week in trades. I'm sorry,
but also Najee is a very good playoff schedule. So
also underrated, also got touchdown regression. That's why I traded for. That's why I targeted him last week. Like, yeah.
As either a selling point or, buying him on a competing team if you want to do it. Like, it's a little risky because it's still Najee on the very bad Steelers, but their schedule's getting very easy soon.
The reason I felt good, and there were a few others I tried as I can't remember them right now, but the reason I feel like he's already lost his value. If you go keep trade cut or ADP, he's already dropping, even though he's 25, I think, as a second-year player, which is slightly weird. And it's like the Elijah Moore thing. We know it's a team. Like I know some people might want to claim I predicted he was bad, but we also know the team sucks, and that's probably got a lot to do with it. And you do know that. So like, even if I ended up holding him, I would be like, it's still a younger running back. I'm all right. I felt like it was fair. If I got caught with it. But anyway, I thought it was a good idea. It worked, so I'll take it. Currently sad Elijah Moore truther. Hey, welcome in. 10-team, 2 QB, 223 first, or Waddle.
Nope.
So,
even if it's the 104 or 105, you're hoping one of them becomes Waddle. Like that.
Yeah, no, it's the answer is Waddle.
Yep.
So easily. But
sorry, Russ.
This the answer is
CD, but it's not. I mean, it's not by a lot, and a lot of it's like confirmation bias and like take lock or whatever. But they're both good.
No, I mean the answer is CD. I mean, I get it. I don't actually think Higgins is the wide receiver 1, but it's not super far for me.
No, he's
I was gonna
he's
say
good. Higgins is very good.
But the answer is CD there.
The problem, well, it's the same position trade at the same age and the same value tier. So this is just a which one are you a true or off trade?
Like
so
right.
That's the answer, to be honest with you. If you like
Right.
Higgins, you can keep Higgins, but I think CD Lamb's a better answer. But I guess I'm on the CD train, but there's no big brain answer there. Ron T, should I trade Chubb, Everett, Devontae for Waddle and Fairmouth? Yes, go do that right now. I'll wait.
Very, very easily. Even if you're
I'll
competing,
wait.
you do this.
Even if you have to take Freiermuth, you should do that. I'm waiting for him to get there. I'm just kidding.
I tried to add on, but I was too busy.
Ron, I will sit here and wait. Post in the chat when you accept it. Do it.
We'll wait.
No, like this is a really easy win.
Like very, very much so. Yeah. Chubb and Everett for Waddle. I would still take Waddle, and I have taken Freiermuth over Devonta.
Honestly,
Well,
I'd take that
I also
package
played
for Waddle.
That was premium, so that's different. He didn't say if his was, but yeah, absolutely. Like it's the Waddle and Muth side. Plus, you get to go Muth.
It's so fun.
Good things happen.
You also get to point out to Kyle Pitts truthers that you got the right rookie. I'm sorry, you just did. But yeah, I don't think this is an unfair trade either, because Everett's a little undervalued. Chubb's going to put up massive points because that's what he does, and Devontae's really good young player. So if you're a competing team, I understand this trade, to be honest with you, as well, because you want those running back points. So I think it's fairly well balanced as well. But I would accept all three for Waddle in most situations. So getting the best sophomore tight end in the NFL right now is just a walk-off win. Try me, bro.
The prettiest girl at the shipyard.
I'm quick with a band. I mean, he's only finished top 12 and then top 5. I mean, what more do you want from the biggest sophomore tight end in the
top
NFL?
5 and top 5.
No, it's top 12 last year, I think.
No, I'm saying like what more do you want? And I'm like, oh,
well, that doesn't exist. That doesn't
check
exist.
the comments.
Like all the way down.
There we go. Okay, we can move on. Thank you, Ron. Good job. I really like that. And if it doesn't work out, come shout at me. It's fine. But I really
you made the right move. Even if it doesn't work out, you made the right move accepting that.
I think so. Honestly, Waddle and Fairmouth make such an interesting comparison because Waddle seems a little not forgotten. Everyone knows, but he's not Chase. If you know what I mean. And Fairmouth is. I get that he's not Andrews and he's not Kelsey. Don't need him to be. But he's also not Pitts, and that makes him a little muted. Like if Pitts didn't exist, people would feel like I do about Muth. Like pretty excited. That's pretty cool. And same with Waddle and Chase. You know what I mean? No,
I think Muth is a little too safe to ever have that love. Like I don't know if the ceiling is there for him. Like he has the ability to be an insanely solid high tight ends one.
I'm not going to argue for it. I'm not, because I'm happy with what he is, and I'm fine, and that's fine. Not everyone is going to be Andrews and Kelsey. It's just like you can't be. But I would say he's got all the targets, all the yards. It's a Pitts problem from last year, but he's done it 2 years in a row. He just doesn't have touchdowns this year, and he at least maintained top 5. I was going to say, but big brains. Drew, everyone's getting uncomfortable talking about it, so I'll move on. Drew, what's your thoughts on Amon-Ra St. Brown when Jameson Williams, is
it
playing?
Does not change a thing.
I think I don't care. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Russ said something interesting last week, and I tried to find it, but I haven't yet. He's there in ranks, not in trade value right now. That's my first thought when looking at this. The Jameson Williams play that Zach has mentioned more than once is a good one because he is going to get healthy, and then the draft capital and decent college profile. There's probably a value bump coming, but he's got to compete to be the wide receiver 2 on this offense. That's his upside for me. It's Amon-Ra all day. Yeah, he's a 4th round pick. And we were just talking about the reality of the NFL, but at this point, the NFL doesn't care. if a lower drafted prospect can kick him in the teeth hard enough that they have to pay attention, it just stops mattering. It's Adam Thielen. It's frankly Austin Eckler. They move past it, and their production metrics matter so much more than their draft capital at this point.
I mean, nobody cared that Edelman was a 6th-round quarterback when they
I did, but for different reasons.
Nobody cared that Tannehill was a 1st-round wide receiver.
Right, eventually that you figure out that they are what they are, and the NFL buys into it. They're giving Amon-Ra St. Brown targets. I mean, since week 12 of last season, every week that he hasn't been hurt, he's had at least 9 targets.
And again, to default to what we said about Amon-Ra St. Brown in the offseason, you got to understand the NFL knows he wasn't a 4th-round prospect. He was a top-tier prospect through high school, through college. And then he just mysteriously got underdrafted, and he didn't even have any offseason problems. They just got a steal in his particular case. It's like Diggs. There's literally no reason Diggs should be drafted that low. It's unfair to compare him to T.Y. Hilton even. It was night and day. Him versus everyone else drafted in that round ever. It's night and day.
The inverse.
Well, Diggs. There's another one.
He's the inverse James Cook. So James Cook got overdrafted. Well, because James Cook got overdrafted because of Dalvin, and I think a little bit of the St. Brown pullback was Equanimous was not only not good but also really weird. They ask him to stretch, and he's like, no. They ask him to do kick return, and he's like, no. And they're like, well, okay, well, maybe we don't want to deal with this the entire. I think that's part of it. I think the NFL.
Again, it's
for better or mostly worse. Yeah, there's some nepotism, and so that matters.
It's not at all a secret that it is the boys' club in the NFL in every way, shape, or form.
It's not a pure meritocracy, and you can actually just recognizing a reality can help. And the other thing is, straight up, if Jameson Williams was a 1st-round pick and Amon-Ra St. Brown was a 4th-round pick in this year's rookie class, Amon-Ra St. Brown would look like the better prospect.
Yeah, but he would have to fight to get on the field to look like the better prospect.
That would be the
now
question.
He doesn't
so
have
now
to.
2 years. Exactly. That's what.
But Drew, don't let Amon-Ra St. Brown affect your idea of Jameson Williams either, because they can coexist and they will benefit each other. If Jameson Williams is good, that benefits both of them.
I mean, it has been decades of this is going back to old school football with the X wide receiver and then the possession
Rice
guy.
and Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, they literally have direct.
This is old school
complementary
Bolden and Larry Fitzgerald. Yeah. This is what football used to be. Them two will make each other better on the field.
Waddle and Hill.
Well, yeah.
Chase and Higgins.
This gets us to everything, Drew. Thank you. That's a conversation this year. It's the one I was most interested in. And I think you're seeing it between Tua and Zach Wilson, between Fields and Tom Brady, frankly. There's a balance there. Oh, I scared him. Okay. There's a balance between quarterback and team and players, but players make up a bigger, significant percentage of it than we typically think. I think we lean in Dynasty. And these two together can be supported by a Jared Goff because it doesn't work that way around, if you know what I mean. They can't get to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle standards, but they can do something together even when they've got a Jared Goff at quarterback. I think that's anyway. So Zach, you just left us, Zach.
That happens. He'll be back.
That hurts every time. 12-team Superflex, 6 points for passing touchdown. That's interesting. I think all mine are 4 point per passing touchdown.
We did this already,
but that's significant. Thank you. No,
Ben must. Not,
oh no, we did. Yeah.
Ben must not be a regular because he doesn't realize that we're usually 2.5 hours behind everything.
We've talked to Benjamin before. I remember because I always say Benjamin. I wonder if he prefers that. No, maybe he just thought he could put more. He's detailed it out a little bit here. Are you ready to come back on, Russ? Or okay.
Oh yeah, I heard stomping upstairs, and I'm like, it's 10:15. I get there's no school tomorrow, but that kid's got to go to bed. So I had to go send my son upstairs.
Dun-dun-dun-dun.
Sean, I want to talk about him too, specifically with Russ, because he wouldn't trade him to me in the offseason. 12-team 1 QB. Palmer for the 2025 second. See the value there? You see the value there. That's nothing. That's give him away. For a 25 first. I know it's a long time from now, but his team is old and I'm rebuilding. That's interesting. I'm actually so much more encouraged with Palmer. Like for a second, because it was timing so well, I entertained the notion that Palmer had something to do with Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. And then they were both healthy. And okay, Mike Williams came off the field because of a re-aggravation. He still got 10 targets. Like, Josh Palmer's 23 years old. He's a third-round prospect going into his third year. It's a bit weird, but I think he might just be good.
Yeah, he always seemed good, but
yeah, we liked him a little bit.
There's not much cycling in the. How do I still go to say San Diego in the Los Angeles skill position players? Like they're fine having their 2 wide receivers on the field, and that's about it. And every once in a while they'll throw a slot guy in, but like they don't really cycle out Keenan and Williams. So like. I think on other teams, if Palmer were on other teams, we would have seen more of him sooner.
Yeah, it's rare, but it happens. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. No, I was agreeing with you.
Oh, sorry, I'm not.
I know it's weird every once in a while.
I didn't understand it.
I have my own question. Oh, are you going to talk about this, Zach?
Oh, I was just going to say, adding a second to get to a first.
That's what I mean.
3 years out doesn't like.
I mean, maybe if it was straight up and you're a pure builder, I would get it, but I don't think you need to get it up the second.
What are your guys' thoughts on keep away? Someone offered me a 23 and a 24 second for Geno Smith. I am a competing team. I have, hold on. Cousins, Daniel Jones, Geno Smith, Tua, and Malik Willis. He offered me a 23 and a 24 second for Geno. He is a competing team.
Does he need a quarterback? Obviously.
I would assume since he asked for him.
I would not. I mean, like 2 seconds don't move the needle for me.
I'd rather win. I think he's almost worth a first.
Oh, that MF is probably freaking above me. No way.
Yeah.
I thought I was in first place. I am not.
Well, now you will be. Thanks.
Here's the injustice. I have.
Doesn't make it move.
Hold on, I need to do math on this one. I will use a calculator.
Keep your shoes on, but all right.
I have 319.45 more points than this guy who is in second place, and I'm in second place.
Yeah, I believe it.
I made the Scott Fishbowl playoffs.
I did not.
The worst team. I apologize to my division for making it. Like they deserve better representation. My team.
I finished 2,124th. I think.
I think just inside of 300. I made it. I made it 3 weeks ago.
You made it comfortably. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I made it 2 weeks ago.
So, how about this? I am starting my best lineup at 81% right now.
That's bad.
I'm like the worst manager in the history of fantasy football.
Where is that?
Oh, bad.
I keep meaning to check that.
Russ, you can tell him it's
reports, standings, power rank.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. That's
I'm rejecting this trade right now, and in the comments I'm just putting, but I want you to lose.
Geno's revenge. All right, Peter, throw us another question so we can talk while you look at your Scott Fishbowl team.
No, I'm not. Rock Carter, which is for some reason also a cool name. I like all these names. 1313, interested in acquiring Cup for 2023. I think it's a good move.
Yes, I would.
Would you offer DJ Moore and Brian Robinson? Yes.
I'm not sure that gets it done. It might, but yes,
it might.
Absolutely would.
The first place
I've been getting ranted and waved at on Twitter from both directions that I don't value Cup enough and that I do value Cup. I value Cup too much, which tells me I'm in the exact right spot.
That means you're right.
Yeah.
Well, real quick, and I want to get back to that. Listen to this quarterbacks: Matt Corral, Sam Darnold, Joe Flacco, Blaine Gabbert, Chad Henne, Desmond Ridder, Matt Stafford, Kyle Trask, PJ Walker, Carson Wentz, John Walford, and Bailey Zappi. Whoa. This guy's in first place.
That sounds like one of my teams.
Wow. But it was really funny. Like what you said, Peter, made me think, like everything makes me think of The Good Place, because that show is just fucking amazing. Pretty good. At one point, you know, someone's pitching an idea to two people that are on opposite sides, and like he's like, I have about 1 million problems with this, and goes, yeah, me too. And then the person's like, well, great, that means it's even.
Yeah. Are you in a league with Scott Fitterer, the Carolina GM? Because that sounds like his team. He's just like, hey, all the bad cast off quarterbacks.
Yeah, might be.
I have in the DFPN league, I tweeted that out today. The guys that have started for me this year: Flacco, Matt Ryan, Cooper Rush, Bailey Zappi, Brett Rippon, Kenny Pickett, PJ Walker, and I also super flexed in Josh Jacobs and Austin Eckler for a week.
It's better than most of your options in there.
Yep, and
2022 has been
second in points and third overall.
You're welcome for Eckler and Adams getting you there.
I appreciate you,
Eric. I know it's early for rookie talk. It's not actually. It's entering the season. I won't do my research for a little while because I
didn't know exactly until he just started it early.
Zach has to start early because his actually requires a lot more man hours, so he started. So just FYI, like it's fair. It's more than fair to ask rookie questions. I just don't have many answers.
But and I'm not far enough yet, Eric, to be able to tell you tiers. I can tell you that Bijan Robinson at the 101, excepting quarterbacks, because I haven't got to quarterbacks yet. So there may be some play there may be a couple of quarterbacks that are in the same echelon as Bijan Robinson, but I have a document on my phone that says for Peter, and it has my rankings of everybody that I've watched since 2016, and I can tell you full stop that my top grade ever was Saquon Barkley, my number 2 grade ever was McCaffrey, and then Bijan Robinson is tied for third with Dalvin Cook and Jonathan Taylor. So that's what you're looking at the top of this class. I'm almost finished with Jahmyr Gibbs. I really like a lot of what he does. He's a little bit smaller. I hope Sean Payton comes back to whatever team drafts Jahmyr Gibbs. But this is going to be, especially if you're in a super flex, I think you're probably looking at 5 or 6 picks.
I was going to say, I'm nowhere close, but I think there's a Bijan Robinson tier, probably, from the whispers in the community, and then like a type 3. Yeah. And then in Superflex, you've got at least one quarterback that pushes it up to 4 or 5. That's going to be my best guess.
What's making this very interesting, again, this is everything I'm hearing. Last night, we had Ryan McDowell on Trade Addicts, and someone asked about, rookie rankings and stuff like that. And, I've never really talked to Ryan about his process before. And I'm like, it's funny because, my process is wait until Zach starts and then and listen to the dummies hootenanny. Like that's my process, of which McDowell agreed with, by the way. He thought it was a good process.
But he still thinks he works for the Bull Rush because of the shirt. So he's all confused.
But I talked to Kane Fassell a lot, who is a Devi guy. And it seems like the wide receivers are moving themselves to a chunk tier instead of
I think
Smith and Jigbo on top as much.
You had some injuries. I mean, like Booty got hurt, had ankle surgery. He may not even come out.
I heard Robinson's considering not.
But we always have to assume what we think is going to happen is going to happen. The problem between the difference in 102 and 104 is chances are the top 3 picks most likely in order are going to be Bijan, then 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I mean, if someone takes a quarterback over Bijan, sure, but those top 3 picks are going to be them. And then it's going to be another tier after that. For right now, from what I hear, it is Jahmyr Gibbs, and then probably that group of wide receivers.
Yeah,
with Jigbo,
ASN, Jordan Addison, Quentin Johnston, Downs.
While again it's 2 picks, that might, unless Addison goes to one of the wide receivers shows that really well, or if Gibbs goes to the right team, there might be a tier break, which being at the top of isn't normally where I want to be, unless because I want to trade back, but that's not where I want to end at. So if you're thinking of trading up to the 102, I would do that.
I don't think you do that for him.
I would trade up to the if I'm rebuilding, I trade up to the 102 for 2 reasons. One, if someone is crazy and drafts a quarterback before Bijan, in which case you will get whatever the heck you want for that pick, or you are going to pick your quarterback, and that is how you build a superflex team.
Yeah. You either go Stroud or Young,
and the thing is, you do it now because
no one's really sure. There's more because we all have to guess. Yeah, that's a fair play. Yeah. I was going to say, it's interesting. As someone who usually literally blocks it all out till I start because I'm worried about it interfering with what I think, this year's been so goddamn loud. I'm like, fine.
It's impossible to ignore.
And without really taking anything in, just letting the casual noise. I have such a... I just described the rookie class fairly accurately, and you're actually watching it. And I have done nothing. It's just the vague noise around it. It's so loud this year.
Well, but again, Peter, I just started. So I know the names, but I don't have the numbers to them yet. Again, I can tell you what I think of Bijan Robinson. If you really want to know, I can tell you what I think of Zach Evans. And I'm halfway through Gibbs, but I only started 2 days ago. So it's not
it takes so much work, man. I don't know how you do it. Really.
Well, and that's the thing.
It helps that Zach just hates his family, so he ignores them all and does it.
Right. Absolutely. Well, but I'm watching from now until February, every second that I have that I'm not actively hanging out with the boys or actively working or sleeping, I'm watching film. I do this at lunch at work. I do this when I come home before the boys are home from school. I do this between the time when I put them to bed and when I go to bed, when I'm not recording with you guys. That's what I do. Saturday I'll get up and I'll, start early and watch film. And then when that's all I do. But it's fun. I enjoy it. And I enjoy reaping the benefits of
me too.
Rookie work.
I enjoy reaping your benefits.
It's not been as fruitful. The more people that start to pay attention that are in my leagues, it kind of defeats the advantage, but it's still fun.
That's cool.
Actually,
I think we came up with.
I have my Grace groupies. This is my Ryan McDowell's son. That's his shirt.
Nice.
I
was going to ask, what's it like to talk to Ryan McDowell when he's not drunk and doesn't know who you are? That's the only time I've ever spoke to him. Never been invited.
He was drunk. He had no idea where he was.
No, he stood there. He stood there, Peter, and waited for you to come into the lobby of the hotel because I stood next to him and he was like, "Where's Peter Howard? Where's Peter Howard? I don't know where you were."
That's why you gotta talk shit about some people, and then they're like, "I'm stopping this," and then you just keep going. Apparently, I'm joking. Skull Dynasty. Would you trade Marshall for Mostert? Competing. I have Swift, Pollard, Dobbins. I mean, get Wilson, not Mostert. Is something happening to Jeff Wilson I don't know about?
Not getting a lot of touches. I don't think I bother with that.
No, yeah. I mean, I don't care about trading Marshall, sure, but I would target Wilson instead.
Decent targets now. I think Marshall may have worked his way into being there's still some really big bye weeks coming. Marshall might be able to slide into a flex spot Mostert, you need Jeff Wilson to get hurt at this point.
Right. And that but at the very least, the potential trade chip is not Mostert. The potential trade chip is Marshall. I would rather hang on to Marshall and see if he has a week or two where he scores a touchdown and people are talking about him, going, "I told you so." And then you trade them to the guy telling you that he told you so on Marshall.
You know, the it's finally happening crowd. Yeah.
Which is fine. Like, he's not bad. He's just not very good.
He'll go away again. But you're right. I'd rather keep Marshall unless I'm trading directly for Wilson. Then I might be interested. Z Master Pro Superflex 12-team rebuilding. Send in Mark Andrews, getting George Pickens, a 23 mid-second, 24 second. 224 seconds, and Cade Otton. Cade Otton's a name I keep seeing. I don't get it. No, I just
it's not terrible.
It's not terrible.
Can you take like 3 of those 6 picks and turn them into one thing? Like, that's. I get that you're rebuilding, but all of these seconds aren't going to get you anywhere. Like, if you have a very active league and you know that there are some people that do care about seconds, or you can add seconds to things, then yeah, maybe. But like, that's you're nickeling to quarters here. Like, it's
breaking $1 into pennies, and those pennies just aren't worth what they should be because we don't actually deal in change.
Like, first of all, Andrews is young enough where if he's all like, you can build around Andrews.
Yes,
but I like getting Pickens, and honestly,
I like the idea again. Pickens
is just going to keep going up, but I like for the rest of it makes it not worth it.
But the other thing too,
it's the right idea. To be fair, I definitely get what you're trying to do. I just don't think it's quite there.
Yeah, but I don't think I trade the advantage, even if I'm a rebuilder. I mean, like Russ said, Mark Andrews is young.
26, I think.
Yeah, like let's not trade the advantage. Yeah.
But again, like, if he is your only piece and you need to trade him away,
but don't trade him for
I like the idea of going after Pickens, but the rest of that is just so blah. It's not going to help you as much.
Well, that's the point. If that's all you have, and then you trade him for this, then you have nothing.
Right.
I mean, then you have Pickens, but you don't have the means to build around him very well. At least
you're gonna have to trade him and hope to find someone who'll give you a late foot, and you've just ended up in Andrews, but not much.
Don't worry about replacing a tight end right now if that's why Cade Otton's in there.
Yeah,
take away the 224 seconds in Cade Otton, change it to a 24 first. Honestly, that would do it for me. That would make it enough for me.
There needs to be a first in here somewhere, and it's fine if it's 24 first because 2023. I mean, it's not my ideal trade, but I would, if you're pure building, I get it.
If you're really rebuilding at this point, like, sometimes you need to pivot to 24 in some leagues because 23s are just held on with iron grips.
Joe Herbert, hey, welcome back, buddy. Mashed potatoes and gravy for stuffing and a first-round dessert.
Okay, so here's what you do. You trade the potatoes for the dessert, stuffing and gravy for the win.
Just gonna eat it. I can
honestly, I don't like mashed potatoes all that much. Like, they bore me.
You know,
I mean, the dessert does not matter to me. Literally,
I
can just nix that right now. So it's basically mashed potatoes and gravy for stuffing, and stuffing by itself. It doesn't win. It doesn't win.
To me, it does. Stuffing is honestly like my 101 of Thanksgiving foods.
I need some moisture in there, you know.
It's really so you got the wrong stuffing, Peter. But it's really funny to me watching everybody post all their food takes, and they're like, this is trash, or this is trash, or this is trash, and I'm kind of sitting there going, like, my food take is yes.
Yeah. Yes. Right.
See, like, my problem with mashed potatoes is you need so much to happen to it for it to actually be worthwhile. Either you're
eating the wrong mashed potatoes
or so much gravy that it doesn't matter anymore.
You're eating the wrong mashed potatoes. Stinkman 87, 10-team Superflex start 9. He offered Lamar owner 223 firsts, a 23 second, and a 24 first. He said it wasn't enough.
That's pretty fair.
That's overpaying.
That's enough, and that's fine. I don't want to trade Lamar too. If he's got no reason to build, he's got no reason to trade it. But I think the offer's fair.
So then you turn around, like there are 5 quarterbacks that are in that Lamar tier. So turn around.
Like Kyler Murray for less.
But like for peace of mind, the value of your trade, honestly, to me, you offered more than you needed to. Most likely the problem is 1, they don't want to trade away Lamar, or 2, they don't want to trade away Lamar just for picks.
Yeah.
It is
or they don't get the value
to move a stud for just picks. But so maybe they needed more just picks, or maybe you have the Maryland flag in your logo and they realize that you just want Lamar because you're being a homer and they want to just charge you more for it.
That's fair. Well, they just don't get it. It can happen. That's okay. You got, like I said, Zach was going to say something better, but I was like, what's Tua cost? What's Kyler Murray cost right now? He should be low. And then you've got those other top 5. What does Hurts cost right now? And again,
that's what I was going to say. Was Hurts.
Russ just pointed out that you probably just want Lamar. And unfortunately, I mean, it's your league, man. If you just want Lamar, you can do it. It's a negative dynasty move, but we play for fun around here, so that's fine too. But straight up,
I think the answer is take out one of those picks, and if you have a player in the same value range as one of those picks, especially if it's a quarterback, it'll help the deal get done.
Yeah. Lithium 66, 12-team PPR, start 13. Send Pitts for Hall and 23.
Try that again.
Oh no, Pitts and
Hall. I was gonna say that's such a win. Pitts and Hall for 2 firsts.
Nope.
2 seconds and Ayuk.
Nope. That is Pitts and Hall very easily for me.
Pitts.
I've got no notes on.
Yeah, Pitts and Hall for 2 firsts, and no, that's Pitts and Hall. I got all excited when you said Pitts for Hall and
that's what I was
thinking. I'll take Hall over Pitts. I mean, I get it that it's a running back and he's on the Jets, but I will take Hall over Pitts at this point.
You're going to be able to get more for them in the future.
In like once this season ends, like you'll be like their value is going to start going up because they're young and good. They just happen to be hurt right now.
I like that you're going to try and get an Ayuk, but to be honest, after like 2 touchdowns, it's probably not the way to do it. We mentioned him a few times.
I don't know if anyone will ever feel safe with Ayuk that his value is going to go up.
That's fair. It probably doesn't rocket up from one game, but I mean Ayuk's decent. No, he's a top 24 wide receiver in Dynasty. But I like that. But everything else about this trade stinks.
There's going to be an Ayuk drumbeat too.
Yeah,
Matt Harmon is an Ayuk guy. There's going to be an Ayuk drumbeat.
Again,
and then you're going to get Debo's 27 now, and he gets injured a lot. And there's too many people on this offense, and so obviously there's a guy that I like that's going to benefit, not this other guy. And then, you're right. Debo runs, so does Christian McCaffrey. Therefore, Ayuk. Some kind of weird math, Skull Dynasty. Also, I have projected the 101 this year and the 103. From the other team, try getting Chase. That was the move, and the 101 both managers. Yeah, so the Chase and Waddle.
They're not going to do that for just one first. Yeah,
they know what they're doing.
Tried getting Chase with 101 and Waddle
with the 103. Right. So he was trying to get Chase for 1 pick, Waddle for the other pick.
Yeah.
I could not make that make sense in my head. Yeah, that's not going to happen.
They are both multiple firsts.
Honestly, the 101 for Chase is probably pretty fair. But he said no.
Especially in one quarterback. Like, okay, so here's the thing.
Yeah, I know. I would take Chase too, but it's probably fair.
In a startup, Bijan will go before Waddle. Bijan might even go before Chase if you have someone who's feeling saucy.
Again,
if you have but it doesn't mean the trade is getting done.
Right.
Yeah, I don't even know about Bijan. I'm just taking it as read. It's Barkley, it's Ezekiel Elliott. They went before the Chases of their ADP. And I'm not saying it should happen. I would take Chase, but it's probably a fair offer. But they said no, so anyway. He already has Jefferson. That would have been such a sweet team.
I have one of those.
Chase, Waddle, and
in the world.
Yes, nice. Hang on to it, and you'll end up with Bijan Robinson and Gibbs or
your pick of wide receiver.
Jigba. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I would say now it's probably the best time to try and trade for Chase. it's a few weeks after we've lost him, But again,
he's
you're probably going to have to say more than the one, apparently. Is he coming back? I thought he was
limited. They didn't even limited fashion today.
They didn't even put him on the IR. They were just like, he's built different.
Yeah, you're right. They literally said that.
Yeah,
he is. So yeah, that's I probably forget.
Did you say they asked Joe Burrow if he learned anything about himself playing without Chase, and he said, "No, I am who I thought I was."
What was he supposed to say to that?
I was like, that was great. It was almost the Denny Green.
He played a year without him already.
Yeah.
But reporters have nothing better to ask, so they ask really stupid shit sometimes.
I mean,
I do like do you feel like you disappointed the defense?
Would you apologize to the defense if you did?
You averaged 2.77 inches per play in the second half. Do you feel like maybe?
Anyway, Alan, Nico Collins or Alec Pierce?
I'd rather have Pierce.
Pierce had like 8 targets last game. I'm in like.
Nico ain't Pierce probably isn't, but he could be, and he's probably more prone to a value jump. So. Baker Kid 2, 10 team 1 QB, 4 PPR start 10. Is Treylon worth Jamal Williams?
Yes.
Oh, there's more. Okay. Antonio Gibson and a 23 mid to late first.
That's a lot.
I would not.
I mean, if you're not competing.
I mean, I'd be fine giving away Jamal Williams and Gibson, but I don't want to put a first on top of that. Can I give you like a wide receiver 2 instead? Like a first is just going a little crazy.
Or the mid-late first. Like, fine.
He's trying to get Treylon.
No, see, like he's not contending, so I get wanting to get rid of the guy who's leading the league in touchdowns, and Gibson's doing not bad. So like,
yeah, but
you can't. Owner wouldn't accept both RBs and an early second.
He's tried doing what we're suggesting.
So then you don't do it. You got to walk away. Like, this is
Jamal Williams is worth nothing
unless you want to do what Zach said and trade the first to Burks and then go trade those running backs to someone else.
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be a contending team that will look at Jamal Williams leading the league in touchdowns and think I could use those points.
Yeah, the other owner is off his rocker. But if you want Burks, it's fine. I think you win value-wise long-term. But there are other players on other teams that you might get someone recognizing, hey, Jamal Williams is probably going to win my league. And they might value that a little bit more than this guy is. And, then you get the salty greats. Maybe next time they won't be such a dick when you try and trade with them. So, yeah, who... If not Treylon, because he's locked up like this, who would you go and trade for? I mean, you got London, Wilson, Olave's well above this.
Jameson Williams is the one that I always, because you haven't seen him yet.
Yeah, no.
I wouldn't spend the first, but like what? I mean, Jamal Williams
just
and Gibson,
both running backs,
like, whatever.
Would you give up DK Metcalf?
You could get Elijah Moore for less. Just Jamal Williams. You could split these up and get.
Yeah, maybe.
Sun God? Like, you think you get on?
Oh, that would be fun. Yeah, I'd do that.
That exact trade for Amon-Ra, that might happen.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that
so
I would
look at the other contending teams, see if they have a player like that or that you feel that way about. I mean, like I say, it's your team, but you are burning value to do this. I think you win long term, but it's needlessly high.
This is something where, and I kind of do this every week now because we're doing the show, but I used to do it every couple of weeks where I would go look at various ADPs and look at and find players that I am much higher on than various ADPs and do things like this with players that they're not doing me any good, the Jamal Williams and Antonio Gibson. So, yeah, I'm like, it doesn't have to be Burks.
That's what I'm trying to say. I like the player you're targeting. I like the idea of the player you're targeting. But if it's too much, try another player.
I like to think of players in kind of sets of like players.
Yes.
So if you're not going after Burks, you have 4 or 5 players that are in your mind like Burks in a similar situation. Maybe one of them is being undervalued, or maybe one of them you can get and you'll be happy with.
John Bosch still makes fun of me for it because that's the way I play. I like certain players. I'm all in. I want to do this.
Yeah.
And increasing, the more I play Dynasty, the more I have groups of players. If you know, like there's a tier of Burkses, and those are the players that I'm all in on, as it were. And that way, if one's locked up, you don't have to overspend. If you don't,
rookie drafts are where to flag plant. Trading is where to have the groups and go get the guy that fills in.
I mean, that's the smart way to handle it.
It's treating Dynasty. I'm sorry to go back to the theme, but it's treating Dynasty as if you're not an NFL. We're not playing NFL. We're playing Dynasty. We're playing fantasy. It's more pathetic and less worthy, but it means it's not about players. It's about value and types of players. So if you can't get one in that type, you go get another. And it sucks because I love flag. Again, John still, because I do try and do it when I can. Waddle and Muth still being good examples of it. But and that's why I get so excited about it when I can plant flags, because the value is right. And so, because if like Marcus Brown right now, he's someone that I have flag planted before, but right now I can't find the trades that the ADP and Keep Trade that say I can. So I'm just not. Whereas a couple years ago, I would have been, I'm just doing it anyway. Flag plant. And you just learn to wait until they fall into the right range before you can actually do it.
So I know
but that's exactly it. You think about types of players.
Neither of you are me, but like, you ever just like get a trade rejection email and be like, what the hell was I thinking?
Yes.
I apparently sent someone Jamal Williams, Mike Evans, and Adam Thielen for Tyreek Hill. Not a good trade offer.
I mean, unless you were in a Scrabble league, actually, and you were like, oh, look at all these Scrabble points.
I mean, Evans is nice. Williams is leading. What? That is not good.
Throw in Zylstra. You got a deal.
You're probably thinking Evans Hill, same thing, same type, and more.
I have no idea what I was thinking. That would be really bad.
That would be a fun league concept, Russ. It would be a pain to keep track, but a Scrabble league where you get the points multiplied by the Scrabble points.
I could do that so easily.
That would be fun. Let's do it. Next year we should do it. The Scrabble Dynasty. Brandon Zylstra.
No.
He caught one of the Zylstras caught a touchdown.
I was going to say
for Detroit.
I was going to say I get the opposite, and it's worse when you get a trade accepted email and you're like, "What was I thinking?" Those are the ones I get quite a lot.
See, for me, it's always the I snap accept, and then the person goes in the chat and says, "Man, I should have offered more. I should have tried to get more." And I'm like, "Nah." Because that would have been a snap decline. Yes. Like this is how I work. Like it's either it is or it isn't. But
it's an on and off switch. Yep. Don't have a dimmer. Sorry.
No.
Yes.
No.
It's not.
No.
Should I drop Kyron or Deontay?
Who's his new handcuff?
Darrell Williams. I mean Darrell Henderson. Sorry, not Williams. Henderson.
Oh, I like Jermichael Hasty. That's crappy.
Whatever.
I know.
So no, I would keep like Kyron Williams.
Kyron's good. Kyron's going to be the guy there.
So listen to think about this, Alan, for a second. What just happened is Darrell Henderson got cut from Kyron Williams' team, so he's no longer there. That moves Kyron Williams closer to being having volume.
2 games after Kyron Williams comes back healthy, they felt they could get rid of Darrell Henderson.
The guys in my father-in-law's
I think that's more an age. But what I would say is he's worth picking up, but you're picking him up for 2 better versions of what you're picking up.
Yeah.
So, is there anyone else on your bench you could get? Surely. Is there an extra tight end or
even a wide
receiver? Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I think we hang on to wide receivers
way too much. Your bench should be mostly running backs, which is why these 2 are so hard to draw.
Nope.
What's Wandell's value right now? I think he's about a second.
Lower
than a second?
No, I was saying lower than it was.
Yeah.
I wouldn't pay a second for Wandell, but that's me.
You wouldn't pay a second for Wandell with what you think of seconds?
Was not a big Wandell guy. He had a good game. I
think he had more than one. This is the best. This is clearly the best he put together, but I thought he was showing good things, and I think more importantly, the team showed that they want him to be there. And also, like what Ryan was saying yesterday, because he knows Wandale well, because he's a Kentucky guy, Wandale will be better off with another wide receiver there. You know, Wandale isn't supposed to be the main target. He's supposed to be the slot guy. So, like, I would absolutely right now send late seconds to go get Wandale and feel good about it when next season rolls around.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I don't mind it, especially like a late second, whatever, but I'm not paying up to go get him.
Yeah. Like if you have,
but yeah, so like again, this is better.
Like for some reason, like the 204 is always a cutoff for me. Like that's without knowing the players in the early second. Like if you have a mid to late second, you do whatever the heck you want.
Well, and he's saying that he's not contending, trying to add players for next year.
If you have someone else's second, I would absolutely throw it out, or start with 2/3 and see what happens if someone's angry that he got hurt. But I would not hate on sending a late second.
Or if you've got one of those running backs on your team that's scoring points this year that you don't need. I mean, it's the Jamal Williams, the Gibson, that type of player. Send them. Donta Foreman, anybody who is scoring that is not part of your team long term, do that. I don't mind that.
All right. Well, I can't change the question, but I'll start reading it. There it is. Thank you, Peter. 10-team Superflex PPR, start 9, rebuilding team and very weak at running back. It doesn't matter. You're rebuilding running backs. We'll have Bijan 201, Jay Cook, Chuba, Gus Edwards. Trade Edwards and Drake right now for literally whatever you can get. I need help figuring out who I should be targeting for the 2024 season.
So really what you should be doing is thinking about trading Bijan Robinson for a war chest.
Everything.
Because if you're not, if you're rebuilding, by definition, you're not competitive yet. I do not want to start with a running back when I'm in a rebuild.
Even if it is Bijan.
Yeah. So, and this is not to say trade that pick for like a pick and a second. Like, don't do that. Bijan will command a huge haul, especially closer to your rookie draft.
Like, you can walk away from trading away Bijan and come out.
Get Waddle plus.
Get out of my head.
Yeah.
Get out of my head. Was literally about to say Waddle plus another really good young wide receiver. Like,
yeah.
Would you be surprised if you saw Waddle and Burks for Bijan go down?
No, I could see that.
Like, and that honestly, that
Waddle and St. Brown,
reasonable offer on Bijan. You don't need to settle for reasonable with Bijan.
Old sport, you know what strikes me about this? Everything they just said is a great idea. But if you're saying I need to start players in 2024, your head's in the wrong place. Like, if you're going to think about a year, think about next year. I want to rebuild by next year. But honestly, you shouldn't think I'm building for a specific year. If you're building, you're not thinking about any year. You're adding value. It's not even about whether you like or not the player. It's just, I want more. And then eventually you find yourself in a place where your team's actually competitive. You have value to try and strike. Like, it's not about a year. You hope to be able to turn it around in a year, though. If you're going to think about a year, it's next year. But don't. It's not about that. And that leads you to the wide Bijan. I can get more for me. Say the name right. And so you trade that.
For me, if I am building with young.
For me, anyway. I mean,
proven wide receivers. Yeah, like that's what I want. I want the young, proven wide receivers. So Russ and trading that 101 for Waddle and something awesome, and then you do that again, or next year maybe you can draft a running back. But even if I draft Bijan, by the time 2025 happens, I'm looking to trade him already for young, proven wide receivers. Like that. That's how I kind of continue my build.
You're a super flex. Like, wide receiver is the first play. It's like that's where you go. But what we've talked about a lot is tight end is often undervalued as a building piece, as a centerpiece, because, there's two of them and maybe a third if everyone else values them. And then quarterback can sometimes, those 5 quarterbacks, but it depends how your league is at that point. So we have to see trades. But the first default is add wide receivers.
Especially, at
best.
I didn't even stop to think that it's super flex. Like, you could walk away with the core of your team. Like, you walk away with Tua and Higgins or Tua and CD.
That's where I'm going.
And again,
if he's a one-on-one, trade down, get a quarterback, and an ad.
6 startup pick.
You just want to add more value to your. And I know it's I get bored with the word value, like it's a stock exchange, but I think you know what I mean by that. You just want more things that can get more things. That's literally all we mean by it. And Bijan can already get you pretty much anything. He won't get more valuable by 2024 probably than he is right now. I mean, he might in your that's part of it. Your league might be I haven't even seen him yet, so you can't.
He's gonna he's gonna come in as the dynasty running back 1.
Yeah.
The end.
No, literally the 1-on-1, and it'll probably be the only running back drafted in the first 2 rounds at this rate. Quintessential value. And if your league isn't there yet, then that's where you wait. But that's the first thing that struck me. I mean, if it works for you, it works for you. But it really helped me to stop thinking of a year to compete in when I'm rebuilding. It's just, I think it puts you in the wrong headspace because you're well, I can start Bijan and then I just need to add white, and you start doing the wrong calculations, or the way I think of it anyway. But if it helps you, it helps you. But that's what struck me. Anything else you can suggest to Old Sport here? Also, an awesome name. I love all these names. No? Okay. All right. Chris Danley, 12-team, 1 QB, start 9. Traded a 23 first and Josh Palmer for Debo 20 minutes before the deadline. Overpay? I think that's fair. I think actually it's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, I'd rather have Debo, I think.
Your deadline's too early.
That's probably true.
Man.
But again,
I think
Chris,
don't valuing Palmer at a first. I think that's pretty decent for him.
That's a good trade. Just your deadline's too early.
Don't think about the other first you have when making this. We're going to hammer this anytime we see it, but what you have in your war chest does not affect the trade that what players are on your team does not mean you'll take less for players in a trade. It's not a cause and effect there. Those are separate.
Where does that happen? And because, at a McDonald's, it doesn't matter if you're a millionaire or you're me, the complete opposite end of the scale. A hamburger still costs the same, and that's Dynasty. What's the situation where it changes based on who you got? Taxes?
Taxes do.
I guess that's the only thing I can think of. But yeah, we'll come up with a better analogy, or Russ will. But that's what we're saying. Ron T, just gonna bask in that. We got a trade done today, guys.
We got a trade done today.
We're at 9:35 now.
SU, Sun God, and a mid first for Jamar Chase. Yes.
Chase.
Yes.
Chase. He is, his own kind of god I was going to go for there. It doesn't matter. Just get Chase. Amon-Ra fell because of his 40 at Combine. Maybe?
Yeah.
I honestly don't even remember anymore.
But to me,
Andrew knows what he's talking about, so I'll take his word for it.
Yeah, but
I think the NFL cares about 40 times, but I don't think it cares that much. Only people on Twitter are that silly. Maybe.
The NFL cares a lot. You see all the guys with the stopwatch.
They care.
But I think that it does not matter as much for a slot receiver because you're not running downfield. You're running slant the.
I don't think it really even measures their time in terms of on the field. But yeah, Keenan Allen. That doesn't matter.
Jarvis Landry.
The last Hopkins 15 years of Larry Fitzgerald's career.
Yeah.
Oh, no, Hopkins had a slow time too, didn't he? Yeah, I mean, it just, yeah. I should trade Swift for Kamara. I shouldn't trade Swift for Kamara as a contender, right? Oh, as a contender?
Okay. I just don't want Kamara, even though I don't want Swift either. Kamara, like if you take away, like he had that 40-point game recently.
Yeah.
But other than that, he's averaging like 13 points a game. Like he's not doing great.
I mean, their offense has been
exactly. I mean, I'm not saying Kamara is bad. I'm just saying he's not scoring points. So yes, I am all for trading away Swift right now. It's just I'm not for trading away Swift for Kamara.
And off the top of my head, it's like 8 points last 3 weeks, just in rushing yards and then receptions. So
but Kamara's only scored touchdowns in one game.
Yeah, and he's regressing. It's building up and it's releasing and building up. I like the energy of trading a younger player for an older player, getting points, and you're a contender. Can you get Chubb instead? I hate to do that to you because Chubb's probably on a contending team, but Russ is right that he's not as consistent as some of the other old running backs scoring points right now. Or you could trade him like some of the other targets we talked about. Jamal Williams. Go get Jamal Williams instead of trading away Swift. He probably doesn't cost that much, relatively. And then you can start Williams until Swift is
Jamal
healthy.
Williams in your lineuff.
Jamal Williams?
Yeah.
Every week, but not as a
incredibly safe.
RB1
That's
or
how
two.
I made the Scott Fishbowl.
He's a flex play.
Yeah, like that. I mean, that's more like what I meant. Like, he doesn't score a touchdown, you're going to walk away with 4.5 points. That's rough,
isn't it?
I mean, they're usually in the red zone at least once a game, and he's getting it.
He's got every game he's scoring.
He scored the most touchdowns in the NFL
That's
this year.
just that's just his role. He's got like a shit ton of red zone touches, and he gets 40 to 50 yards every week.
Welcome to Jordan Howard.
50 to 100 yards, sorry, every week. But yeah, I feel pretty as a running back too. I feel safe plugging him in. But I mean, is there someone else then? I mean, that was just the name that came to the top of my head. Jeff Wilson, probably less. But that's probably what
I
I'd
wouldn't
try
trade
to
Swift
do
for that.
Happen. No, not trading Swift, but trying to go and get those guys for a second or something else off your roster rather than get rid of Swift right now. It's the right move, but Kamara's rest is right. It's probably not the right guy right now. I just look at points per game, so I was completely fooled by Kamara there a little bit, I guess.
Don't yards per carry me, bro.
Yeah, right. Sorry, my databases have expanded to the point it takes 5 minutes to open them. So I'm just going to not. If you don't have any names off the top of your head, and that's the move I would try and make instead. Try and get some of these cheaper producers that you can plug in as a running back to instead. Or go up, man. Go up and get... that was the wrong one.
Devin Singletary. I don't know.
There you go.
He's still scoring.
Who are Eckler? The Eckler.
I mean, like, look, the contending teams that I've traded for Eckler, I've traded for Chubb, I've traded for Derrick Henry.
Mm-hmm.
That may be it in some combination, and then I traded for Devontae Adams, but he's not a running back, so it's not in the same conversation.
Najee Harris probably comes last, but he's not the guy. Yeah, that's what I brought. That's what I would say. Without seeing a roster, it's a lot hard to know. Andrew A. The only thing is Gino's scored.
Oh, he's answering questions from back in the.
This week.
He's answering questions from
seconds are gold.
9:30.
Dynasty seconds are just. I don't think they're gold.
A late 23 and 24 are not gold.
Pete, but he's answering questions from 9:30. Like this.
No.
This is an answer to a question.
Talking about mine, and that was after I came back after 10 o'clock.
Okay.
I mean, that's still an hour ago, but it's not an hour and a half ago.
By all means, let's argue about how time works. Jeremy Clark, what are you giving up for Elijah Moore? I just gave up a third next year and a second in 2024. That's the only trade I've gotten done so far.
I think that is a good trade that will get things done. An early second this year is too much.
Yeah, late second, early third, fine.
Yeah, but I love the idea of a 24 second.
Yep.
Yeah. It's about where
and really throwing a third just to get it done.
To be clear, that's why he's interesting. Like that. It's not that that's right or he's not worth it. It's like why he's interesting because there are risk concerns in this, but where he's been pushed. Does Darrell Henderson affect ETN? I don't think so.
ETN doesn't have to take all the reps in practice anymore.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Not for our thing. Not significantly. Don't scare over it too easy. Loves left that fitter core was good.
Thank you, Andrew.
Brian Robinson, best since Barkley. Runs better than McCaffrey and catches the ball as well. Somewhat disagree. By which I mean a lot. JSB will have... you're talking about Bijan. You see,
yeah. I not Brian, Bijan. Yeah, and that's it. Like, I think he's different than McCaffrey. Like, to say he runs better than McCaffrey was a 2,000-yard rusher at Stanford. Like, it's not that he was...
He just also happened to do wide receiver drill.
Yeah. And again, this is not talking down on Bijan because Bijan, like I said, that's my tier. There is it was Barkley, McCaffrey, and then Bijan is in that next three. So,
like Zach Rayleigh looks excited. He was excited to tell us what he thought about Bijan Robinson when he logged in.
I hardly
guys.
I hardly ever talk about these players until I talk about them as a class. So yes. He's nice, but also Russ asked last week. So,
yeah. Gary Russell, happy Thanksgiving, fellas. I'm new to Dynasty. Well, welcome in, Gary, and thank you. I have a team with 523 firsts. You are off to a good start. Probably should be tanking, but just can't stop trying to win. I don't blame you. Try to do both. Have you had that issue? I mean,
mindset. That I know people who have this exact problem. What's even funnier is I have the Harry Potter League, the Hogwarts League, where in reality, you specifically winning isn't the biggest deal. Your division winning is the real goal. And people will leave the league because they just can't wrap their head around it. Like, it really is a very specific way of thinking. And Zach is going to say a lot of very smart things, which all boil down to you don't have to not try to win.
You don't have to
build while winning. You don't have to tear it down. Like, it's fun. I love it. I do it all the time, even when I shouldn't. But
we talk about rebuilding so much, it seems like it's meant to be part of Dynasty. That's what happens when it goes wrong. Yeah. That's the way I would think of it. You're meant to be cycling.
Yeah, those are words that are not said out loud nearly enough. You shouldn't rebuild. You shouldn't want to rebuild unless you're crazy like me. But
you can retool, you can add value, you can not be winning this year and need to do better next year. But rebuilding is specifically done fucked up. Here's the process to get back on the horse because it's difficult, especially in an active league there's no redraft. Damn it! So that's why there's so much content about it.
And if you've got 523 first and you're still competing, there's no reason you should be tanking because they're not all yours. Like, by definition, only one of them can be yours. So if you can compete and still have 5 first and only one of them is getting worse by you competing, the other 4 potentially could be getting better by you compete. Like, and so, like, Gary, I'm that way. Like, I hate to be non-competitive, and when I have a team that I need to completely rebuild, it's like Russ, and you can attest to this because this is Dynasty Awesome Sauce. I will trade every player I have to try to get to a point where I have picks. So even though I'm starting my best lineup, I'm not competitive because I can't not start my best lineup. I try to win every week, no matter what. So I will trade everything so I can't win in order to kind of rebuild that way. But you don't have to do that, Gary. Like, everybody talking about rebuild, like you have to blow it up. You don't have to blow it up. You don't. I fully am on board.
I would say you intentionally shouldn't. That's the thing. You should be. It's a balance, and the fact you have first. The difference is you don't just sell those first. You're trying to keep value, but you're trying to win. Right. Like that's a perfect place to be. I used to say like redrafters would do better if they moved to Dynasty. If you can just grab the basic concepts, because Dynasty's only got basic concepts of you need to have value, and then try to win. Like that's exactly where it's that seesaw and keeping it well balanced. That's the only trick, if there is a trick. So no, not at all. Don't listen to Outhouse, even though he's best and kicks my ass in a lot of different leagues. You should be trying to win, but maintain value. Now we both jumped on Russ. Feel like we should give him a chance to finish his sentence.
No, I said everything I need to say. You're good to go.
I just assume I cut people off at this point. Caesar, 12-team Superflex rebuilding. Trade away Kelsey and Montgomery to get Cup and Waller, not Waller.
Nope.
His value is just not going up, and it's a questionable return of performance.
If
so
you
it's not a
are
rebuilding
making a trade, I'm going to take the word rebuilding out of this. If you're trading for next year, which all you can that's if you're trading for Cup, you're trading for next year.
Mm-hmm.
Trading away Kelsey is the wrong way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like Kelsey is still going to be doing this next year, in which case, yes, trading for Cup is a great idea, but
this isn't the one though. I like the idea of trading away Montgomery.
Yes, trading away Montgomery is absolutely the right idea
when you're not playing for this year.
This is so if you're trading,
not the move.
If you're trading Kelsey, to me, if you're a rebuilder, you go and try to get a difference maker, and again, like Cup is a difference maker, but not for the next, not any longer than Kelsey is, and so I don't think you gain. I don't think you gain what you think you're gaining. Caesar, when you figure out your trade, though, in the trade comments, you make your offer, you should write, render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's. And that would be a fantastic trade.
Vini Vidi Vici. Just walk off win right there. I would consider you a trade partner. That's the thing I keep coming back to, because you're sending them points right now. So I assume they're a contender, which means they should be willing to give up Cup plus a first, because they don't care about their first if they can. Like there should be something that's more interesting to
or
you
Devontae
than
Adams, or like
they should be willing to give up more to get Kelsey in general. So, and if it's not, that might be a reason this trade looks so off balance, like so middling. Because if they're not a contender, that's why they're not trying to give you more for Kelsey.
Go to the Kyle Pitts owner. Kyle Pitts just got hurt. Go to the Kyle Pitts owner. Say, I'll give you Kelsey. Now, all of a sudden, you are scoring points at tight end, which you weren't before because you had Kyle Pitts. And when Kyle Pitts comes back healthy next year, Kyle Pitts is going to be worth way more than Travis Kelsey to somebody else in your league.
Javonte Williams owner, Breece Hall owner, anyone at the top of your league that's got one of these really good young players that's injured. And Kelsey's Cup's interesting because he's good and old, which is a different risk factor, so you get an extra discount. But you're thinking the right way. It's just the trade. I don't think this is the offer or the trade. And Professor Chaos, welcome back, my man, Mr. Butters. 12-team PPR, ETN and Curtis Samuel for a mid-23 first, second, and 24th second.
I think I'd rather have ETN and Samuel.
I think ETN.
Honestly, I'd just rather have ETN.
Yeah.
Samuel was a Wentz guy. He doesn't really do too much right now, but still, ETN over those picks.
The rebirth of Terry McLaurin has come at the expense of Curtis Samuel over the last 5 weeks.
It really just who the quarterback prefers is really what those two, which of them did well.
Yeah,
but if ETN isn't bringing 2 firsts back by himself, then it's not it. Caesar, any chance any of you can break down my roster on your own time? And hit me up. Drop it in the DM.
DM me. Send screenshots. I got you.
Honestly, we normally end up talking about it anyway, so drop it into any of our DMs, and we'll post it in the Dynasty grind DM. And if and again, they're like, "Hey, I told him this. What did you say?" But at PA Howdy, I don't know if Zach's real busy right now, but he's Tacit Assassin 13. Do we have our ats up? Yeah, there we go. Anytime, seriously, that's to anyone. You can DM me. My DMs are open.
We
unless
are
it's an offer for doing an advert. Because well, you think I need money, or some kind of sex bot, or I get a lot of crypto scams. I also check out my you can send me a message, but it might go into my what do they call it? It's like I don't know. There's a section where you don't see it unless you click on it, especially because you might not know. Yes, I always go and check them. Like if you haven't heard back from me, it's because I don't want to, not because I didn't see it. And I can say that because I've literally answered anyone that wasn't a quick crypto scan or a sex bot or a hey, shill our shit. Everyone else I answer. So yeah. And it's pretty clear. This is the Thanksgiving Eve, and I'm here. So yes, I'm that guy. You can talk. Yeah, where was I?
I don't know if this guy's joking, Zach. If you check the Hogwarts Screw Me, someone posted a picture, and it's an injector into a turkey, and he says butterbeer injections underway.
Oh, that's a good plan.
And Beryl, he cooks. Like he.
Oh yeah,
he's a pharmacist, so like him with a needle is just a really funny joke. But yeah,
he said he was making a scratch butterbeer. Yeah, man, that sounds good.
Mandy, before I read it, I'm just gonna say we talk a lot about what should and shouldn't be, but at the end of the day, the values are like anything else. What it means to you, if you guys are having fun, it's another thing I heard about Dynasty. We talk about there's a right and a wrong and an actual variant, and there's not. So don't let Dynasty scare you off that way. You're just trying it really. I just don't want it to put you off. Like keep playing Dynasty. It's okay. Like there's no right answer. Okay. So here's what he says. Offered the Lamar owner a 23 first and a 24 first. They're both late projected. And Kyle Trask, who he's a deeper quarterback in this year's rookie class, right? I've forgotten about
No, just ignore Kyle Trask.
Next. Yeah.
Okay.
No, he was
and
last.
He likes the offer, but is thinking about it. And he says he's a little unsure. They're a little unsure on dynasty values. So what's up? And again, just to reiterate, don't let it scare you. Like you can make mistakes. Or what? They're not mistakes, okay? Think about it that way.
Here's the cool thing, Maddie, is dynasty values as a whole don't necessarily matter to your league. Your league is all coming in. You say your league's first year in dynasty. The dynasty values are what your league says they are.
Exactly.
And so like we had a conversation earlier before the show where I said I made a trade where I sent 2 firsts to get Austin Eckler in my home dynasty league. And immediately that was met with, wow, that was an overpay, which in that league it was. In dynasty value it wasn't. And the trade partner I had was J-Mike, who was not original to that league, and so his dynasty values don't necessarily align with the league. So like the value, there is no value chart that says what everybody is worth.
Money's made up. Fantasy values is definitely made up.
Yeah.
So there is so many people selling you. Actually, no, I've just started outright telling people that's unhelpful. You're telling some people something that is unhelpful. Stop doing it. And I get told off a lot for it. But yeah, and it's all about this. Like these things work in all day. It's like that's just so not the reality of playing in a league. It's just ridiculous. And so the way to think about it, I would say, outside of this grand concept of value, is, and it's why we talk about it this way so much, it's what are we valuing? Lamar Jackson is a quarterback who can play for the next 10 years and be a top 5 like that's valuable. And if it's a super flex, that has added, I would say, value, right? But even in a 1 QB, he has that element where he can add an advantage even at that single quarterback position. That's what those top 5 quarterbacks about. So that's why we value him. That's what we think he is. That's why he's good. So then it's about your league situation and your team situation. Is that enough? Or is there so little else on your roster that alone, it's going to take forever to build the rest of your roster, in which case the whatever value you have on Lamar is probably worth trying to throw your lot on riskier bets that might improve your team better overall. So that's the way I would think about it. Break it down to its basics. What's he worth in your league? What's he worth to your team? And what's your team situation? That's why we look across it, those three factors.
And the other piece is league settings. So like Matty, like we don't have, whether it's Superflex, we don't have a roster size, we don't have how many players you start, we don't have whether it's tight end premium, whether it's PPR. So it's hard for us to give you what our overarching value would be. So but like I said, even what we have in our heads as value doesn't necessarily mean that's what the price is in your league. So it's kind of an interesting, that's part of what's fun about Dynasty, and it's part of what makes being in multiple leagues so cool, is because there's not an iron price. There's not a set price for players. It's league dependent. It's honestly your manager dependent, like other people in your league, they have different values for different players. And so that's
now to the trade itself, not knowing if it's Superflex or not, I would say this is too weak in Superflex, just about right in single quarterback.
Oh, see, I would not pay 2 firsts in single quarterback for Lamar, for a quarterback. I would
late. I would be interested in a single quarterback both late, but okay, that's fine. Yeah. That's the thing. There's no exact value, and I don't know much about Kyle Trask, so I'm just not rating him.
Well,
yet. So he's right. He's thinking about it. I don't think it's too far off in most situations, but it's probably too weak in Superflex. The other thing I was going to point out about this is I don't know if I've ever seen Bob do this on the Dynasty Trade Calculator podcast or the Wall Street one that they do, but I've seen him straight up in chats get bored. Bob Gilchrist works for Dynasty Trade Calculator with John Bosch. I don't mention him often because he likes Kyle Pitts too much. He needs to hush, okay? But I do love Bob. I actually see him in the comments right now. And I've seen him straight up in DMs get fed up with people saying, I can't get trades done, and said, show me your damn roster. And you show him your roster, and he says, trade this and that for the player you're whining on about. And he's done it to me, and I've been like, I don't want to do that trade. And he's like, if you want that player, here's a trade.
There's your problem.
Yep. There is no like I'm comparing it. I don't want to give up CDM. I don't want to. And it's like, that's stupid. This trade gets what you want done. And so value, ignore it all. What you need or want to get done for your team. What does he need or want to get done for his team? That's the bare basics. And look through it through that lens. Like any trade can happen. If he's unsure about this, he should just say no. But there is a trade that works. It's about whether Lamar is actually a great thing for you to go and get for your team. When you think about it in those terms, it takes out of that what is value and puts it in a lot bit starker contrast. Also check out Bob and the Dynasty Trade Calculator. Killers for value, as well as the Trade Addicts podcast with Russ, obviously.
Just putting it out there, I host Dynasty Wall Street, by the way.
I know. But yeah, that's stuff like that. When Bob does it, it gets me out of that. What is the value? Someone just talking on Twitter today, someone said it felt like an overpay at the time because we were talking about Cooper Kupp. And he said he traded Cooper Kupp and CeeDee Lamb for Justin Jefferson. I think at the time I would have gone, whoa, that's crazy. I love CeeDee Lamb. And that was his offseason. But if I was able to break it down in the way Bob does and the way we normally should, I'd be like, yeah, I get it. Justin Jefferson is what you want. He's a top value asset. He's what your team needs. And CeeDee Lamb and Cooper, yeah, I get it. I would have got it if I could have stopped mega braiding what value is. And that's just a guy thinking about what he wants to do and putting together what he needs to get it. Overpay doesn't factor into that. That's what I was talking about with Treylon Burks trade earlier. It's an overpay, but if Burks is the thing you want to put a trade together for, that's a trade that gets it done. But long term isn't a bad upside bet. It's too much, but it's okay. I don't know why I'm going on at you here, Maddie. I don't want to scare you off Dynasty. It's just I know a lot of talk about value can make people think Dynasties are more complicated than it is, and it isn't. It's what identify things that your team needs or needs to do, put together trades or plans of action. J. Mike Check, that we talk about a lot in the Dynasty Dummies, is the best at this, looking at his league and saying, this is what I'm going to try and do with the team, and then executing on it. It's more effective. It's more practical. The whole value thing can seem... What's the word I'm looking for here, guys? It's too... as if we all played in one league together when we don't, whatever that means. It makes it more complicated for people who maybe don't play in as many leagues as we do actively for many years. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It gets a little homogenized. No, it gets a little homogenized. It's funny. It's almost myopic, but like the opposite of that.
Yeah, I don't.
Like because we're like pulled way back out with the 30,000-foot view, and really each league is, you know, you're here on the ground, and so that's the thing.
Yeah, I love that. I try. You're exactly right, and that's a perfect reaction. I talked for 10 minutes trying to explain something that's really simple, but I'm making it sound too complicated. Joe got in my DMs about that the other day. It's like, Pete, I want you to succeed, but please say things in a human fashion. Basically,
Hemingway, baby.
I love what you talk about, but sometimes you rant for 10 minutes. I've got no idea what you're talking
Hemingway.
about. Hemingway. I struggle.
If you can say,
I'm trying.
If you can say in 6 words what it takes somebody else in 10,
exactly.
Then awesome. And if you can say it in 3, even better.
Yeah.
That was only 2.
I'm trying my best. But Matty, that's what I'd say. It's not enough in Superflex. It's just right in 1 QB. But ultimately, it's about where your teams are. And if you don't feel it on either side, that's fine. Andrew A, there's no right answer. When trades regarding tight end are posted here, are we talking tight end premium leagues? I kind of default to whatever they tell me.
Yeah, it's not ours. So
yeah, I don't.
If they
wait
tell us
much,
it is. If they don't, I assume it isn't.
I tend not to. My view doesn't change very often unless it's fairly extreme, like a 1.75, and it's Travis Kelce or Mark Andrews.
But yeah, I was gonna say it just makes the good tight ends better. Like that, that's literally what a tight end premium does. And I know sometimes Russ doesn't like to hear that, but like that, there are only about 8 guys that it actually affects, because there are only 8 guys who get enough targets to have the receptions actually affected. And those guys get a big bump and everybody else gets a bump. Like, it's fine, whatever. It makes them flex worthy, but other than that,
that's literally the point.
Yep.
That is literally the point of tight end premiums, to catch them up to the rest of the business.
I know you know, because this is what I do.
One of the most valuable players in the league.
Like, I go Kelce, Andrews, Kittle, like with some combination of the and Ertz.
Oh, sad. Trey McBride lives. Maybe.
Yeah.
Bob Gilchrist, look at that. I will say it on all platforms. Russ has great disdain for Pitts. Why such a grudge with Kyle Pitts, Russ?
You haven't seen the TikTok video where Kyle Pitts runs up and slaps T. Higgins in the face? No, that's it. That's Russ's animosity. It's not a real. I'm not on TikTok except for Chef Adam Libby, who you should all be following on TikTok.
I meant to ask you.
I've got like 4 TikToks up. I'll have you know.
I don't follow you, Peter. I'm sorry.
I obviously disdain myself for being there in those TikToks, but I am there. Manny asks or says, honestly, I think people forget that the Falcons have Arthur Smith, who plays a run-heavy offense. Want to see how the offense is with Ridder as a quarterback to properly evaluate Pitts and
we don't run in the same circles because nobody has forgotten that in the circles that I run.
In fact, it's literally they've been complaining about it from week 1.
Yeah.
What I would say, the only thing I can add to this is I've already seen enough from both to know the players are pretty good. It doesn't ultimately define what their fate's going to be. Evan Ingram is pretty good, for example, but Pitts has done more than him to this point in his career. But I think the players are good. We know it's about the situation at this point. So yeah, we agree. I think we're agreeing.
I just followed Adam, by the way.
Oh, Chef Adam,
yeah,
he's
awesome.
Fun.
Yeah.
I mean, we had 2.3 million already, but now he has 1 more.
I had him in school.
Yeah, when Zach first told me that, I went and followed him, and it feels so. Oh, you won't even see the number tick over. You know, he doesn't care.
Oh,
Too big,
awesome.
But he's a very fun channel.
Yeah.
Gavin Grant, is that what they call it on TikTok channels?
I don't know.
Or am I too old?
It's
I don't know.
like I literally go there to watch him cook food, and that's it.
Yeah, it's really good food. Kevin Grant, Kamara and a 23-second, or Swift and a 23-third.
I'd probably go Swift there because I think you get trade value for Swift later.
Yeah, Swift for Kamara isn't the way to go.
That's not enough. Gavin was asking earlier if you trade Swift or Kamara to try and win. I don't think that's the value difference you need them. Manny, do you guys think Lamar has much longevity? I do, honestly. I know the running quarterbacks have the fear around them. I don't feel that same fear. There's not been enough of them really yet to know. And I feel like if he doesn't develop as he already has. He was above average passer when he came in.
Yes. His first 2 years at Louisville were the issue. Because he was not at that point. The first 2 years at Louisville was not reading defenses the way an NFL quarterback needs to. His third year at Louisville, he started going through progressions, and you could see it. And if you go back to the Dynasty Dummies episode, we talked about Lamar Jackson coming in. I said this very thing. You could see him go through progressions. You could see him start to read zones, and you could see him start to move the pocket to make throwing lanes instead of moving the pocket to make running lanes. And he has continued to progress in the NFL. He's really, really good.
And that's the film. I can tell you, what I look at is accuracy.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. Josh Allen needed to make an improvement in accuracy, not all that stuff Zach just droned on about because he watches the games. I don't know about that. I do know he was insanely inaccurate. Like, we never seen a player elevate his accuracy enough that he could get towards NFL standard. And he did it. It's phenomenal. It's amazing. Lamar Jackson was over that threshold year one, and he was already a 1,000-yard rusher. I don't know why it hangs around Lamar Jackson more. I don't know why it hangs around some other rushing quarterbacks more, but we don't have that fear with Josh Allen, and it's the same thing. And he's actually had to improve to barely scrape Lamar's ability in passing accuracy. Like, that's where, like, having said that, I do understand the concern with rushing because Cam Newton and a lot of rushing quarterbacks like Robert Griffin have got hurt, but we really haven't seen enough of them. It's relatively new. And the thing is, what I was going to say there, like, the ones that got hurt weren't Lamar and they weren't Josh Allen. In terms of passes, Cam Newton was never this good. Accuracy wise, he literally needed tall wide receivers to do it. Not that he wasn't very good at passing in and of itself. I don't know. What I have read is things like Aaron Rodgers. Like, this is where we're down to. I don't have statistical trends. I've got narratives from quarterbacks. Has consistently said if you're moving with the football, you can protect yourself better than if you're standing waiting to get hit.
Yep.
And that, just as a moron thinking about the game, that's the risk I thought they were running. You're running into contact, but instead, players that play consistently have said, if I can look at the field and
see
decide
the contact
how
coming.
I can get hit, it's actually safer for my legs and everything else.
Yep.
So it might work out that there's higher risk. I don't know yet, but there's reasonable reasons to suspect both. So I don't know he has higher injury risk even. So I don't think there's a longevity problem there, but we don't know. It's fair to be concerned, but I don't think it's necessarily going to happen.
And even Cam Newton, who you brought up as somebody who got hurt, played at a high level for 10 years.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, throwing Cam Newton and Lamar Jackson together isn't super.
That's the thing. They're so different.
Cam Newton's built like a linebacker, but like,
Andrew Luck and Cam Newton, it always struck me, built the same height, same weight. Yeah. And I always thought of Cam Newton as this monster, which he was, physically immense. And Andrew Luck, because he didn't run, we didn't think of him.
He's a big dude, though.
And he's the one that got
was awesome to watch. But like, you guys said all of it absolutely right. But what is funny is, like, it's like when someone's really, really good at something, you see them be good at another thing, and it seems like they're bad at it because they're so good at something else. Lamar Jackson is such a good runner. It seems like he's not a good passer.
Completing the ball at like 63 or 64% over his career. Like, he's good.
But you also have to realize what he's passing to. Like, that comes to play.
Like Hollywood Brown.
Hey, Hey,
that's it.
Pat Andrews. Oh wait, no, he's in Pittsburgh.
Like if they put a full offense around Lamar for more than 3 seconds before they all get injured, who knows what he could look like? It's just it doesn't seem like that's what they want to do.
That's where I was going with Luck and Cam Newton. Like Cam Newton,
zero
was not nearly as speed up as Luck, who didn't run as much. Anyway, good questions though, Maddie. Really appreciate it. Timo821, great show. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I literally pulled you up to say that. I need compliments. I'm thirsty. Devin, what's the best way to join startups in the off season? Good question. I like the DLF forum. A lot of them get posted in there, and everyone the forum's free. It's not behind the paywall. If you're on the DLF forum, you're probably pretty into Dynasty. There's some good leagues that get posted. Follow Russ here because he has a Trade Addicts league. He posts when there's openings. Scott Fish also does the same thing on the safe leagues. And those or the good leagues for me are people with players that I like and know in them. But outside of that, you want a commissioner who knows good. So that's why I like Scott Fish. I like following Russ. And when they post openings, I can know that foundation piece is right. John Bosch is another great one.
Yep. And now that Twitter hasn't ended yet, like Twitter is a good place to meet people who play Dynasty. And if you meet enough people that you like can talk to about fantasy football, the Dynasty community on Twitter is awesome. The fantasy football community on Twitter is awesome. Like it really is great. And you can meet enough people that you may even, Devin, be able to start your own league. If you want league settings, DM one of us. Maybe not Peter, because you don't want to, you get like an entire bylaw just misspelled. But DM Russ, DM me. Kyle Lebrecht is at K Lebrecht. He's got great league settings too. I'm sure John or Scott would or Ryan McDowell, any of them would be happy to share. Yeah, happy to share league settings. So like there are a ton of different ways to get in a startup, and they will start happening immediately after the season happens as well. Like you'll start to see that. I wouldn't just go down to like Faneuil Hall and walk up to people in line for food and be like, hey, you doing a Dynasty league? But like there are ways to go about it.
This is the part that Dynasty hasn't figured out, by the way. It's frustrating as fuck because I've been through this. Like all that information is like, I just want to go sign up for a damn league. And like I've got a network. And if I don't have 12 friends who want to do it, I think it's a problem. Not a problem. It's something someone will figure out a way of monetizing. No, safe leagues, yes. But they're all paid leagues and you can't just join to play and start. I started off on Flea Flicker because they literally have a system to do that. And I've reached out to them so many times to get involved in the Dynasty community on Twitter because MFL doesn't have it. But Flea Flicker, which is a pretty good UI, but like I said, there's so much they could do. But they actually have a place where you can go and you can look for leagues with openings available. The problem with Flea Flicker is a lot of empty leagues, and because there's no money, there's a lot of bad leagues. But it is a good way to get into leagues and start playing and start trying to figure out Dynasty. And that's where I started. If Flea Flicker would just like get involved with the community a little bit more instead of trying to be like I don't know what they're trying to be. Like, I don't know why they would be interested. This is where most of the Dynasty community is. They're just there. The UI is actually more, I find it easier than MFL, and it is customizable, not to John Bosch standards. But if you're just desperately wanting to join a league, that's what I ended up doing, joining Flea Flicker. You can sign up for it, you can make leagues, and people sign up. But it's a hit or miss kind of. That's the only problem with it. That's why I'd like it to get more involved in our space, because then we could populate leagues with just people that want to play instead of a lot of weird stuff goes over there. But it is free. And it's an interesting place just in case you want to. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to jump in with both feet, join 10 leagues, and screw all of them up and figure out what worked and what didn't. And it's at least possible. But safe leagues is a better answer if you want to join a good league. But there is money down and up front. And if you're going to learn, I wasn't in a place where I could afford $20 for a season just to try to learn, to get my butt kicked by players who are actually pretty good. I want to go kick some butt on some bots on Flea Flicker. So that's what I did. Andrew A, good call on sets with wide receiver. Okay. I remember. When we were talking about types, I think, like Traylon Burke types.
Yep. Gotcha.
I always value QB, obviously, why I pay for Mahomes over Red Rocket. And who's M. White?
Mike White.
I've forgotten.
Jets.
Mike White.
Yes. Now starting for the
Sky and Tony, good hammy over Olave. Yeah. I think you're tiering them as you prefer, and that's the way to do it. And someone asked me today if they should pick up Sky Moore off the waiver wire, and I was forced to say it should probably be rostered, but yeah, it's getting bad out there for Sky Moore if it already isn't. Flex ETN versus Ravens or Jamal Williams versus Bills. That's Jamal Williams.
ETN. Yeah,
ETN.
It's ETN.
Well, is Jamal Williams because they're playing the Bills, but I would start ETN over Williams.
Yep.
Yeah, it's gonna pull it up, but I don't need to. It's Williams. Trade the Dynasty running back 101 for 3 firsts after you. Yeah, if you can. If you're building, if you're competing, fuck that. To be honest, probably not. Andrew A, I agree on I'm gonna have to learn to say this name properly. Bijan. Pronounce the B. Got it. Bijan. No, Bijan. Okay. And so 2024, I never give running back a second contract. Neither does the NFL, hardly ever.
Neither does the NFL, yeah.
No. We're all just real NFL managers.
No, because if I was an NFL GM, I would be drafting quarterbacks almost every year. And and trade like you can trade quarterbacks. It's like what when everyone thought Kingsbury was a genius before he actually started coaching, and when he came in, it was like, yeah, I'm gonna trade this guy and then draft my next quarterback. You should be able to cycle through because anyway, it doesn't matter. But a quarterback contract, if you get a quarterback on a rookie contract, that allows you to do an awful lot with your salary.
Yeah, 100% of rankers in my rankers rank-based dynasty projections or weekly projections would start Travis Etienne over Jamal Williams, by the way. Like, it's not even close. We're definitely right on that one.
Oh, go contrarian then. No, I'm just kidding.
Sorry. Richard Davis. Survivor League questions, a.k.a. best player available. Where should I pick up? Should I pick up Rashad White over Garrett Wilson?
Yes.
Probably.
Oh.
Rashad
White's going to be the starter in Tampa.
And Garrett Wilson is very good, and honestly, Mike White is probably better for him. But I mean, he's the starting running back on the Tom Brady offense. Yeah, you go with that.
I just can't wait for all my Braxton Berrios to reawaken with Mike White. It's going to be amazing. The Braxton Berrios sleeper cell right into the playoffs.
Well, there's always like 1 or 2 games a season that happens anyway.
Yep. I usually have to start him, so.
It's got Leonard Fournette for 2/3, 24 and 25. I have a contending team with Mahomes, Dak, Lamb, Waddle, Chase. That's more than a contender. ETN,
That's a very,
Foreman,
very,
Dillon.
very, very good
That's
team.
a very nice squad. Good job. 4 best running backs. Should I try and trade him for a second or just...
Yes.
Keep him and try and win? Again, you can do both if you...
Well,
look for moves to do.
He may be coming back too. They said that he's limited in practice, so like he may be back. But yeah,
he's projected this week.
Still
running back 27.
His value is a second.
Yep.
So if you don't need him, then you just take your second, and if you want to use that second to do something better for your team, then you do that. But
you can get a second off one of the bottom teams. Yeah, sure. But the problem is that the people interested in Fournette are probably your competitors. So you're going to have to do a pretty smart trade. Get it. Yeah. Like just saying that.
I mean, regardless, if you hold him or flip him, you'll probably gain because 2/3 is nothing.
Yeah, I think if you're trading him, I can't see your tight ends. You're looking for an advantage somewhere else, so package him with a second or something, and then try and get points per game and value. Like, Andrews. You're looking for Kelsey.
Even Kittle. I know Kittle has become
Kittle's a good one. No, Kittle's good. Yeah,
and he had a big week this week, but like Kittle has been out of vogue because he started the season injured, and they had him in blocking. And if you went back and watched the first whatever it was 3 or 4 games of the season, he was not running. It was Ross Dwelly running the Kittle routes. So
that's literally what I try and do. Like you've got an advantage at running back, at quarterback, at wide receiver, and they're young in a lot of these cases. Tight end's all you got left, man. And if you can make a move for Kittle, do it. Yeah. See who's on those bottom rosters, if any. Well, I'm not going to be interested in Lenny, but see if you can get a tight end. That would be where my head was at. Maddie, I brought Lamar for 323 firsts.
Yeah,
it's between 2 and 3. Yeah,
pretty close to
what you do.
Yeah.
I would smash except for 2. In a single quarterback, like Zach said, it's probably on the upside, but I'd be okay with it if it's the right thing for my team. Yeah. Trask, remember that they were late too, so even better timer. Trask, 2nd round pick 2 years ago by Tampa Bay.
Right.
Sorry, I know the name, I just couldn't recall it. Thank you.
He's not good.
My Dynasty education from you all is appreciated. Don't think of it as an education, man. Just
we appreciate you more.
3 opinions, man. No better or worse than yours. Sounding board.
The best part is we all continue to learn together, which is great. Like I think that's what it should be.
Man, if I could teach people, then I'd win the Scott Fish Bowl, or at least not play off by accident.
Hey, you're in the playoffs, Peter.
Yeah.
In spite of Russell Wilson. So.
In spite of. How do we view Marcus Brown? I really like him. I'm having a hard time finding his rank value in trade. I think he's a little above where his rank's at in trade right now. He's like wide receiver 22 or something? 24, 20. It's easy to trade for other wide receivers.
Is what?
Worried about constant foot issues. So the last time I remember him having a foot issue was like his rookie year.
I don't actually remember him having one, no.
I'm always going to be lower on Marquise Brown than everybody else. And so, like, I don't have him on my teams because people were more excited about him either as a rookie. It's just how I play, Peter. Like, he's not – like – the type of receiver he was coming out is not a type of receiver that I bet on. And so I made my bets either against him or in the places that I acquired him. He did well enough that other people valued him more than I did, and I traded him. And so that's how I
didn't you know
he
that
sits in this weird place where you think of him as overvalued and I think of him as undervalued, and neither of us ever trade for him. It's a weird.
Well, I mean, I had him in
like Tyler Lockett
leagues, but yeah. Well, no, Tyler Lockett's a guy I have on every team because nobody.
I love Tyler Lockett.
Yeah,
it's rare that we don't. Anyway, besides the point, mine was Superflex. Oh, when he traded 3 firsts, yeah, that definitely makes sense to trade 3 firsts from them. Yeah, it's Superflex, half-point PPR, start 9. So yeah, I'd say that's a little low. I can understand why he's on the fence on it.
No.
How do we contact you for roster reviews?
Put the handles back up
again.
Yep.
Just DM us on Twitter or add us on Twitter if you don't want to do it in secret. Don't want us to be sneaky, but you can just add me anytime. I don't know. DM sounds so like DM me. That's where I tell you I actually charge. No,
if you put it, but if you put it out, if their league mates happen to be on Twitter and kicking around,
not to shill, but. Yeah. I have a Discord, but DLF has a Discord now, as well as the forum. Both are free, and you can post stuff in there and get not just me and Russ, but like anyone from the DLF team can get in there and offer thoughts and opinions, just in case we're slow or you want more opinions, because you should.
If you're in the Mid-Coast Maine area, I walk around the parking lot at lunch.
So
you can come walk with me around the parking lot at lunch, and I'll go over your team. So.
Yeah,
I'm not in the DLF Discord.
If you're not into Discord, like I said, the DLF has that forum. Or hit us up on Twitter anytime. It's where I live. Andrew A, I love your speech on Dynasty. Thank you, Andrew. I'm glad someone did. Just pump me up. My word is it becomes robotic, and we play Dynasty to do the opposite. Exactly. Yep. Thank you. Timer, how many running backs do you have when you're in the contender mode? Honestly, in Dynasty, I want to add more running backs, especially depth running backs. Like I carry more running backs on my bench than anything else.
Yes. Yeah. But again, when you're contending, if you end up with my contending rosters usually have some combination of top end running backs. So they'll have McCaffrey, they'll have Dalvin Cook, they'll have, as much as I hate to admit that he is, Derrick Henry, because he runs like better than everybody else. And like, that's what my top teams will have. Eckler. And now, and Peter talked about this a lot before the season, Timo, like he called it. He said this year it's going to be the older running backs because that 2017 class was so good. The 2018 class behind it was good. And those players are still good, even though they are old in Dynasty. And so you're able to get value on those players as contenders this year. It's amazing. You can go, and especially with the perfect storm of the 23 class, the value of the picks is so high. You can acquire those running backs to go be your hammer for the last 6 weeks of the year. Like that's where we're at.
I'm trying to finish up my article on that, and I'm really conflicted because with good young running backs, Javonte Williams was doing it, Breece Hall was doing it, like Russ pointed out.
Yeah.
But those other running backs that are over 25 right now, like something like 6 of them are over 26.
Yeah.
Would still be here too, if you know what I mean. Yep. And that one running back on the Jets doesn't make the Barkley running back on the New Giants any worse. I mean, they're separate entities, if you know what I mean. So with you, a running back, we've had the quarterback revolution the last few years. We're just coming to the end of the wide receiver one. We're kind of due running backs. We're actually a few years out of where I would have expected it because like Zach just said about these running backs, and normally there's a gap of 8 years or so before you see another 2017 class, but history doesn't repeat. It could well be 2023. So I don't want to scare you off the young guys either, but these old guys, if they stay healthy, are still probably going to be good.
Yeah.
If they stay healthy and finish in the top 12 this year.
There's someone walking around in my house, and I'm pretty close to getting ready to go to bed, so I'm just going to say goodnight.
All right. Sorry, dude.
Yeah.
Good night.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving, Russ. Much love to the family.
Same.
All right. That was to you. Must have been.
Do you guys get worried about a lack of draft picks if you're a strong contender with a ton of youth and depth at wide receiver tight end? Sounds like I wouldn't, but I'm always trying to make sure I've got my balance right. And normally it's off one way or the other, so I'm trying to do something. But with what you described, no.
Winning is good. Like that's literally the point of it. If you win your league,
it's fine. Yeah,
if you're a paid league and you win your league, you're paid for the next 3-4 years, depending.
You get a plus on top of them paying your league fees to fix it.
And the cool thing about draft picks is those are replenishable assets. Those come every year. So even if you've traded 2 years out, you're gonna get another one in 2025, and you're gonna get another one in 2026. Like that. That's just they're replenishable, and you can also buy on credit. And I've talked about this a bunch. When I'm in a draft, if I don't have a draft pick, say we're in the second round and I want to go get a player that's there in the second round, I'll take next year's draft pick, second round, and this year's third and pair them and say, look, I'll give you a second and a third for a second. That's a win. They 90% of the time gets it done. I'll go make my pick. So I'm not necessarily worried about draft picks. You can always liquidate and go get draft picks with your players, but so no, I'm not worried about it, especially if I'm good.
Tomo told us his scoring lineup. The only thing I'd say is the less you get for receptions, that changes things. In fact, it makes it more random and more frustrating, but it's still a fun way to play Dynasty.
For example,
my Pat Freiermuth takes just stop the minute you get to half point PPR. Okay, I'm out. Because without touchdowns, there's only two tight ends, literally only two tight ends that matter, and maybe George Kittle. But other than that, same thing. How many running backs do you like when you have in a contender mode in that format? It doesn't change. I like even in PPR, I'm heavily. Even if I'm not contending, there's a better chance I catch fire on the waiver wire with a running back than a wide receiver. The next one is tight end. Wide receiver comes in third, then maybe quarterback.
And this is kind of the elevator escalator, because I think of wide receivers as an escalator where if a wide receiver one goes down, the guy that comes into the lineup is not immediately going to see the wide receiver one targets. It generally gets filtered down, and so it's more of an escalator. Whereas running back, because there's only one, it's literally more of an elevator. So here it comes, and so that's why it's way more valuable to have running backs on your bench, because
they can have immediate.
And again, like one week of running back one from a bench running back there's your value. You've already recouped what you spent for him. So,
yep. Order 66, welcome back. Just dropped in to say hi. We'll watch the replay. Oh, thank you. Hey, Order 66 in the future. Appreciate it. Gary Russell, I agree with you about Twitter and Dynasty Fantasy Football. I joined so I could get into the SFB 12. I use it solely for fantasy football and love it. Yeah, I think that's where, especially Dynasty, I think a lot, I mean, I'm not on Facebook, but I think a lot of it, Dynasty, is just Twitter.
Yeah. I mean, there are Facebook groups in for Dynasty, but it's the Wild West there.
I mean, since joining Discord, I've found huge Dynasty related Discords that I never knew existed. So I've got a small bubble. I accept it, but I think Twitter's really useful for fantasy football.
A lot of sharks.
It's the only reason I have no other social media presences. It's just because I like fantasy football, and Twitter's a place for it, in my opinion. Old sport, although I do enjoy Twitter way too much. I appreciate the channel. Really appreciate you, man. Thanks very much. 10 team super flex PPR start 9. I think I'm potentially ready to compete in 2024. We've been here. My core is Kyler Watson. Good. Nope. Chase, Higgins, London, Wilson, yeah, you're pretty good. And you're expecting to have Bajon, James Cook. At this point, he's just disappointing. I don't value him much. But then you've got Pitts. I think you should be ready to compete next year. That's as far as who you can add. It's about who you can get good value on right now. I think Cooper Kupp is a good example. I think Javonte Williams, Breece Hall, probably maybe your number one to go throw some offers on. If he's on. It depends who your competing teams this year have. That's the way I play it these days. If I'm not competing and you're saying you're not competing this year, go to the first 6 teams, see who they have, and at what points I can trade them for better value for next year. That's the way I would play it. So who I would target is more about who's on what roster right now. But off the top of my head, it's those young running backs. They still feel like the best value targets right now outside of Elijah Moore. He's one I started to send offers on. Cooper Kupp, you already have Pitts. So
that's a really nice that idea of trading for the young running backs who are injured, who are coming back and going to be good again.
Seems a little simple.
You assume that. Well, I mean, look,
it's all about what trade you can get, but and who's on whose roster. But I think that's the play right now in Dynasty if you're not competing.
The only other thing that I might do. And you don't do it now because he just got hurt. But going into next season, if you can get Andrews or, again, Kittle plus for Pitts, I'm going to do that because I am more confident in the players that I've already seen score than I am in Pitts ascending to that level, even though there are a lot of signs that point to Pitts doing that. I'd rather have the bird in the hand. So that's something that I would look for.
Like something Cooper Adams says that I've really tried to incorporate is you're looking for different, and I ain't building team situation all the time, but he's interested in buying value right now, and in the off season he'll be buying points. So now you're targeting Pitts, and this off season you'll be targeting Kittle. And that's an interesting way to approach it. And he's great at Dynasty. Fun dude too, if you want to follow him on Twitter as well. Don't think he's on DLF anymore, but he's on Twitter, and that's all I care about. He's a cool guy. And I thought that's an interesting way of framing it, but slightly different from my own. Again, there's a whole bunch of ways to approach Dynasty and have fun and win, and there's no one way. Trade deadline is almost here. Russ hates it. I'm just guessing. Who would you buy as you prepare for the 2023 offseason? Same list. Right now, I split the league. Go look at your contenders, see who they have. My mind's on young running backs like Breece Hall, number one. Javonte Williams, maybe. That knee injury was serious, though, from what I understand.
Yeah.
So, you need a little bit better value on them. Other young running backs who are hurt, draft picks. But then you've got Kyle Pitts, Cooper Kupp, Elijah Moore. They're the receivers who I expect in most leagues should potentially be good targets right now. Should I just rebuild? Nah. Honestly, nah. You're not you're rebuilt. I would say this is a stock squad. I don't like your QB2, but that's not what it's about. So,
as a human, but as a quarterback, that's not a bad quarterback too to have.
And seriously, this team's fire, top to bottom. Outside of tight end, maybe a little bit, but you don't have to worry about it right now. Gary Russell, you guys are the best. Thank you, Gary. I love listening to you each week and appreciate the time you spend talking Dynasty each week. So do I. This is fun. I really appreciate it, Gary. Thank you very much for giving us someone to talk with, honestly. Boxy, I have 623 first, 324 first, but my best player is likely like Burt's, Dotson. Well, that's how. In a super flex, that's worrying, but it's okay. You got some value there. Should I go for a QB or wide receiver in the offseason or just QB? You make the moves you can make to improve the team as best you can. The Dak Prescott window's probably gone. Kyler Murray window's probably open. But you want to target quarterback. You need quarterbacks. So you're looking for quarterbacks that might be decent value on for good reasons. You're not trying to rip anyone off, but they are less useful to teams. You can give them points for, hopefully, for future value.
With all of those picks.
You said wide receiver earlier, but you should really focus tight end. If you have no quarterbacks and lots of picks, you're thinking about drafting quarterbacks, right?
Well, but also with all of these picks, I am waiting. I'm not trading them now because again, if this is your roster, you're not competing. Yeah. You're not competing right now. That's fine.
You buy points in the offseason. You don't doing it.
Yeah, do not worry about trading for players right now. Your picks give you the most fluidity. They can be anything.
Maybe Trey Lance. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, I mean you can. Yeah, I mean you can buy Trey Lance, and again, that would be one where I'd be like, hey, I'll give you a 24 first for Trey Lance. Yeah. That sort of thing, or like a 24 first and a 23 second for Trey Lance.
But it's maybe more interesting to them right now as a team that's interested in playing. I don't know.
But again, I'm not going to add players right now because players all of a sudden that's what they are.
Yeah.
So if I want to be able to trade them later, I have to now find a team that wants this player where all of the teams want picks. So wait until the hype of rookie season, wait until things kind of crescendo because the 23 class is going to have a hype machine behind it. It's already started and it's going to get louder. There are going to be more people starting to talk. The Dynasty Dummies, I've heard that's a show every now and then.
It's a good one too.
Do rookie shows and that kind of kicks off. I don't think I hear people talk rookies much before our show unless they're Devi.
Yeah.
And from there, so that's mid-January all the way through April, May, your rookie drafts, that is going to continue to build. So hold on. Don't get impatient. And then if you want to turn those picks into players, you're going to get more for those picks and you're going to have more teams that you'll be able to trade with. So that's what I would do is hold on. Is just
see Yeah, just the way I think of it, the thing you can trade now that might be a good idea is points. You don't got any, so you're waiting for the off season. And which point you can sell value for points, because
but even
people will be interested in value.
Even Dotson may be I would trade Dotson. I am not a Dotson believer. If you've got Dotson and he scored a touchdown or he made a couple of plays last week, if he does that again, man, that may be a way to flip. Like that's
Burks is the only player that you listed here that I don't particularly want to get rid of my roster.
Yep.
So like if someone will give you a second for one or both of those other players, those are small moves you can make. But okay.
Man, I guess it depends on Juju's health. I know he was nicked up last week.
How about that Christian Watson though?
Really, I mean, Christian Watson is a boom, but like he's that like flex play.
Start Godwin, start Juju. Christian Watson comes in third, and about half the rankers would sit him. So it's a 50-50 between Juju and Watson, but I would start Juju if he's healthy, because he got taken off the field last time. I think.
Well, and that's the thing. And if I were in a matchup where I was predicted to lose, I would start Watson, because I think that he's got the potential to do the 100 yards, 2 touchdowns.
That's fair. Howdy's heroes. I just want to thank you all, Peter, Zach, Russ, for all your input and advice in and out of the season. Avid listener, appreciate all you guys do. Thank you very much, man. Appreciate it. And there is no off season, and there is no Wednesday where there is not a Dynasty grind. Sometimes it might even just be me. But we will have a show, damn it. Or sometimes just Russ. I'm assuming I'll get sick at some point. But I appreciate you, Howdy. Andrew A., thank you for the tight end advice. For me, it's the hardest to break down outside top 2. And honestly, Andrew, you're in the right headspace. So there's 2. And there are a few interesting ones, but mostly we're lucky. Someone earlier in the season was like, man, tight end's a wasteland. I'm like, it's been a while since we had 2. Jimmy Graham and Gronk. And then it was just Kelsey. Now we've got 2 again. Like that's thick. Yeah. And actually a few other we're back in when we had Antonio Gates and Witten, where there are some that weren't Graham and Gronk, but they were startable and they scored touchdowns. We're back there. This is as good as it gets.
And that's like again, outside of those top tight ends, what I do is play matchups and then fire darts at like 4 or 5 of the bottom tight ends that I think have potential. Mm-hmm. And so that again, that's how I found or ended up with Andrews. That's how I ended up with Kittle. Is you look at athletic profile and you look at them coming in and you're like, okay, this is the prototype that I want. I really missed Kyle's cheat sheet because that was like good. That hit tight ends like crazy. No, I know.
No, I will say, if tight end is easy, there's just very few of them, so it almost feels like you're getting it wrong. But it's athletic, size, and then a decent receiver. You don't have to have Kyle Pitts or Travis Kelce's rookie profile, but you do have to have Jimmy Graham's 1 year of being a decent receiver and size and athleticism. And that's what's his name, the Colts guy,
Jelani Woods.
Like he fit 2 and didn't have that third, so I just didn't like him. And I mean, that's how I ended up going Duluth and likely preferred.
Yep.
So far, I mean, it's not a genius system. It's one place where I won't be like, combine people don't know what you're talking about. Because they do, actually, to be honest. But like, I normally don't value it. Tight end, it's a thing. Tight end's perhaps the most unique position offensively.
Yeah. Well, and it's the hardest position, I think, probably outside of maybe. Yeah, because you have all of the offensive line duties. So you have to understand how to run block. You have to understand how to pass block. You have to understand whether you're in a zone scheme or like all of these different things. you have to, like, there are some systems where you're like wham blocking, which, so if you're up on the line, you actually have to go back behind the line and then go hit the hole before the running back does. So you're taking out the line. So you have all that. Plus, you got to figure out routes and like be on the same page as the quarterback. So you're doing everything that a receiver is doing, and then everything that a lineman is doing, isn't it, all at once? And then we wonder why they don't break out in the first year.
It's like, well, I don't appreciate Pat Fairmouth. Didn't Greg Olson break it down that way once? He was like, you do all the, you're a linebacker, you're a wide receiver, and then they underpay you compared to all the others. And it was like, you know what? Fair point, Greg. I think it was Greg, or it might have been one of the other veteran tight ends who were like, guys, like, look what there. And he just said it so well, and it was basically like what you just said. No problem, Barksy. Thanks very much. Delusional Tanner. Probably getting out on this one, Zach. So
I'm ready.
Thanks, everyone.
I'm there.
Delusional Tanner, 12-team Superflex PPR, looking to move off Swift. Give Swift Jamal Williams and a 24 fourth. Get Najee, Donovan Peoples-Jones.
I like that. A first in Peoples-Jones and Najee for Swift. I mean, like, Swift and Najee are close enough for me that I'm going to take a first and DPJ over Jamal Williams. I like that.
I think so. Najee's a little underpaid right now. Swift,
yeah,
same problem, but the value didn't drop. Isn't that curious on the receiver? You know what I mean? But yeah, I think it's Najee Harris.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I mean, yep.
Tried to trade Donovan Peoples-Jones. To be fair, he's doing better this year than I'll admit. But I trade it.
You're just wanting the
athletic profile's got to keep missing.
The David Bell. He saw targets.
David Johnson's back in the NFL. He started a game last week. I had to project him this week. I was like, let's go. Finally.
David Johnson's back. Duke Johnson's back with the Bills. It's just we're everywhere. It's old home week. Peter.
Yeah.
Have a good Thanksgiving.
You
Look
too,
over there.